everyone, and welcome to the opening drive on a Monday morning on 101 ESPN in St. Louis. We're at 7 o'clock. Your time check brought to you by Clarkson Jewelers, an officially licensed Rolex jeweler. Brooke Grimsley is here. Matthew Rocchio is here. I'm Randy Carricker. Happy All-Star break. We've reached it. We made it.
Woo! And happy Monday.
Happy Monday. Yeah, it's looking forward to a great week of programming without baseball here on 101 ESPN.
Oh.
Yeah.
Well, there's the All-Star game. We're not going to extensively cover the All-Star game, Randy?
No. We can rip the jerseys. We can say that Ryan Helsley was good that he didn't get used. There's a lot of things we can do, but we don't
dive into it that much.
Not as much as we'll dive into the Cards and Cubs sweeping a 4-game series over the weekend. The Cardinals go 2-4 on their 6-game homestand that I think we all hoped the Cardinals would go 4-2 on. They did sweep the doubleheader on Saturday, but Friday a loss. And then
Kyle Hendricks.
Yeah.
What is that about Kyle Hendricks and the Cardinals?
Bud Norris did that to the Cardinals too back in the day. I don't know.
Yeah.
There's just some guys that own this ball club, and I'm sure that there are other pitchers that own other ball clubs, but it doesn't matter who's hitting for the Cardinals. Kyle Hendricks just owns them.
I remember a couple games when Bud Norris had like a 5.28 ERA and did that to the Cardinals. I don't remember any 7.4 ERA games where Bud Norris then came in and just shut them down like that. My Lord.
What was it that Pedro Martinez said about the Junkies? They're my daddy. And Kyle Hendricks, Cardinals, he's your daddy.
He was saying that afterwards.
Yeah, but the Cardinals did have the sweep. Let's give credit where credit is due. 9 runs in the first inning when I'm there on Saturday. And that's,
I like how you said that.
Yeah, that's, that makes sense, doesn't it? That I would be there and they would just have an incredible first inning. And it was awesome. They win that game. Yesterday, the Cardinals, after, by the way, a dramatic win on Saturday night, too. Nolan Arenado coming through. An 8-3 win for the Cubs yesterday. Miles Michaelis, 5 1/3. He allowed 6 earned runs. Struck out 2, didn't walk anybody, but he did allow 4 home runs, which generally doesn't align with winning. And the Cardinals fall by a score of 8-3. And Miles Michaelis is so much fun because it's like going to Six Flags. It really is. It's and a lot of times, you're up there at the very high top of the Screaming Eagle, and then whoa,
up and down, up and down.
And we should all keep our hands in the air when Michaelis is pitching.
The Screaming Eagle is the best analogy for him because sometimes it might just kind of stop on the tracks and really ruin an afternoon for you and your family. And then sometimes where it gets really fun, but in a way you didn't expect, when it just jumps the track and kind of skips a part on the track where you're like, oh, is it supposed to let up 4 home runs? No? Okay.
No, a career high 4 home runs. And then you had Kittredge, too, who gave up 2 a little bit later on.
He needs this All-Star break.
He does.
He might need more than this All-Star break just to rest. He's before this year, the last 2 years combined, he'd thrown 41 innings. And maybe Fernandez is the guy to use. Maybe if you're going to have a 7th, 8th, 9th, Fernandez is the guy to use. And then kind of mix and match Romero and Liberatore. And I know Liberatore is also kind of a roller coaster ride at times. But you got to use him. And then Helsley, obviously, is your 9th inning guy. But maybe they need to... And this is not an affront to the abilities of Kittredge as much as it is. It's hard to come back from injuries when you haven't pitched and then pitch all the time. And that's what they're trying to have him do.
I think the other day was his 44th appearance, and a career high for him was 57 appearances. And I think that was back in 2021. So, yes, he has already done a lot more than expected of him, but he has been fantastic in the first half. I know that it's been some recent struggles, but still, he was a huge part of that first half. He, Romero, and of course, Ryan Helsley, who will be our lone all-star. And then you mentioned Ryan Fernandez. Look at how quickly he has turned into somebody you actually look to for high leverage situations. Basically came out of nowhere, it feels like. Rule 5 draft guy. You weren't expecting much out of him. We didn't see him for a while. Remember at the beginning.
Fourth game of the season. It was that Sunday night
we were
game,
like,
right?
are we ever going to see this Fernandez guy? Like, what does he look like? And then he's emerged as somebody who could actually be a high leverage arm for you down the stretch.
He might have the best stuff, complete set of stuff down in that bullpen. And it kind of makes me wonder, because one of the things that Chaim Bloom was charged with was evaluating pitching talent. And you wonder what a guy like Riley O'Brien or Keenan Middleton would have been able to do. How much different would this bullpen look? And they've been really good, but they're just gassed. How much different would it be if you had those 2 effective relievers down in your pen?
Oh, it'd be huge.
Yeah.
It'd be absolutely huge. But still, to your point, this bullpen, I believe, is a big part of why the Cardinals were so successful this first half.
And hopefully they'll be able to get some reinforcements either from the injured list or when the trade deadline gets here. Meanwhile, the Cardinals' first pick last night, 7th pick overall in the draft, J.J. Weatherholt, was regarded by many as the first pick in the draft. A lot of the independent services, Baseball America, CBSSports.com had him as the number 1 pick in the draft. He falls to number 7. Had some hamstring problems in his junior year, his last year at West Virginia, but might be the best pure hitter in this draft. A good bat-to-ball guy. Not going to be a big-time power guy, but probably the best offensive performer in terms of just being able to hit in this draft. A nice pick for the Cardinals last night.
A very nice pick. Also, fantastic outfit. He really went with the Texas theme last night, and I appreciate somebody who has the confidence to be able to pull off that whole wardrobe ensemble that he had. But this really feels like a great pickup for the Cardinals. Of course, when you're drafting that high, it was the first time since 1998 when they drafted J.D. Drew that they were able to pick so high in the draft. And so any talent that you're going to get in the top 10 is going to be, you assume and hope, will be amazing. But you look at his numbers, especially last year, he was the NCAA batting champ. He had 449 batting average. He looks really, really good. Now, I know that a lot of people look at, okay, well, why do we need another shortstop? He also has played second base. So that would be something that I would look at. You could always use that depth.
And one of the things that Randy Flores brought up last night in his availability was that if you play shortstop, you can play anywhere.
Yes.
Shortstop's athletic ability translates to anywhere. So maybe he winds up in center field someday, or maybe Wynn winds up in center field someday. Wynn is fantastic. I don't think that Weatherholt has the arm of Mason Wynn, but I'm just saying that these guys are interchangeable, especially when you get them at this level. And Flores also made the point last night, and he's really good about this. He said, when asked what his timeline will be, he said his performance will tell us that. The Cardinals aren't going to put a timeline on him and put him on a fast track right away just because he's a 3-year college player. We don't know when we're going to see him, and Flores is really open about that. We just don't know, and it's going to be determined by how advanced he is relative to other pro players.
Flores is always good about that because he was also asked by Frank Cusimano about a player comp form, and he said, well, he says the same thing he says every single year, which I'm sure that you hear all the time, Randy, which is, well, hopefully one day players will be talking about him as a player comp.
Yeah. I wonder, though, one thing I read was Dustin Pedroia. Would it be nice to have a Dustin Pedroia? But it is dangerous because you just never know. I mean, who would we have compared Alec Burleson to, right? When the Cardinals drafted him. They're just...
Who would you compare Brendan Donovan to, even, when he was first drafted?
Exactly. Yeah. I don't know.
Exactly.
But, and the Cardinals have had a lot of those guys. When they drafted Matt Carpenter out of TCU, and he winds up being a top 5 MVP guy, you just never know what do you think they comped Albert Pujols to when they took him in the 13th round? Right?
Nothing.
No.
Nobody was expecting that.
I remember talking to, and I've mentioned this before, a Giants scout in spring training one time. And this is after Albert had been established. He was like in his 4th or 5th year. And this was a Giants guy who watched Albert play down at Maple Woods Community College. And he said, we took him off our board. He said, I compared him to the fat bastard from Austin Powers. He said he was just a big guy. He said, but somebody would give him credit. Somebody with the Cardinals saw that swing, and he turned into what he turned into. So you do never know. And sometimes those lottery picks like Albert wind up being lottery winners.
Yeah, there's absolutely no way to know. But either way, you like what you see with J.J. Weatherholt. It feels like he, as you mentioned, dropped down the draft because of the injury history that he had this season. But by all accounts, he is probably the best pure hitter in the entire draft. So this is a huge land for the Cardinals. And I know a lot of people, including myself, were hoping for one of the pitchers, Chase Burns and Hagen Smith, but guess what? Everybody else wants them too.
Right. Yeah. And the Cardinals, it is a 20-round draft, so there's a lot of guys to get here. And as we mentioned, the Cardinals did get Albert in the 13th, so you never know where you're going to strike gold. Meanwhile, we have the Home Run Derby tonight here on 101 ESPN. Coverage coming your way at 7 o'clock. The Cardinals do not have a player in the Home Run Derby because they really don't have a player that hits a lot of home runs.
Oh.
Yeah, but they have players who hit a lot of solo home runs, and I think that would have been perfect for the Derby.
It would have been.
They have some pitchers who give up home runs.
There you go. I was going to say they could have had a pitcher participate in home run.
I just had to make that joke just because of yesterday.
Good thing. I like that. That's fun. And last night, that Copa America ended, the one where we got, we the U.S. By the way, I want to talk about the U.S. in a second. Uruguay eliminated the U.S. in a 1-0 victory. Last night, Argentina with Messi on the shelf. He was injured, crying on the sideline.
Oh, that was terrible to see.
It was. But they win. They tally in extra time. I mean, you talk about extra time. They had 2 15-minute halves of extra time. And they tally in the second half of that time and beat Colombia by a score of 1-0, and all those Colombians that snuck into Hard Rock Stadium were probably disappointed.
Probably. Yeah, there was a lot that happened yesterday. I told you earlier, it felt like a week's worth of stuff happened all just this past weekend.
Unbelievable.
I mean, sports, newsworthy, obviously, things that happened this past weekend, and that was one of them. All those people breaking in. How in the world does that happen?
I don't know. You had all that. You had the golf.
I watched the video, yeah.
Yeah, there was. That was crazy. Yeah, I don't know. You would have thought that there would have been more security for a game like that, especially in the time that we live in, right? Wouldn't you have? And not that they didn't have a lot of security at Hard Rock Stadium, but those people literally crashed the gates, and then you had people literally climbing up onto the ramps to get into the stadium.
Yeah. But you mentioned Messi. Seeing him cry was absolutely terrible. And then when they zoomed in on his ankle, did you see how swollen it was?
Yeah, it was like a giant grapefruit.
Yeah.
Yeah. So here's the other thing about Team USA. Did you see the quotes from the head coach of the Minnesota Lynx yesterday, Cheryl Reeve? Caitlin Clark couldn't have been classier in talking about the U.S. team. That's what you dream of. That's what I strive for. I'm going to have to get better. And prior to the game yesterday between the Indiana Fever and the Minnesota Lynx, Cheryl Reeve, who's the coach of the U.S. national team, was asked about Clark's status as a potential member of a future national team. Not about why she wasn't on this team, but as Caitlin Clark, obviously you'd hope that this coach had scouted Caitlin Clark. And she said, this is the person who's supposed to present class and dignity to the United States. She's a representative of the red, white, and blue. And she's asked about Clark's future ability to be on a national team. And the coach of the Lynx says, why the hell would I answer a national team question? She said, I'm wearing Lynx. I'm the head coach of the national team, but I'm not the chair of the committee. Anybody want to venture into anything else? She was asked about the viability of Caitlin Clark as a future Olympian, not this team. And that's what she came up with. And then,
I didn't even see that. What a terrible response.
Yeah. And then she was asked about the possibility, because Caitlin Clark is obviously popular and from Iowa. A lot of Iowa people made the drive over to Minnesota to watch her play, and asked about the potential for a pro Fever crowd. She said, I don't give two blanks. She said, not even one blank. So that's the head coach. That's the representative of the USA. That's the coach of your national team.
Why are we continuing to do this with Caitlin Clark? Can we not just enjoy what is happening here? Of course, you're having more attention because of what Caitlin Clark is able to do. You think it has a lot to do with the fact that, the Lynx fell to the Fever in that game, and that the majority of that she said that pregame?
Pregame. Yeah.
She probably saw all the fans there to see Caitlin Clark, and that could be part of it setting it. But that is such a terrible look. Why would you not, especially as women, continue to lift each other up instead of tear each other down?
Right. And what I thought of, Brooke, is the coach of the men's men's national team. Can you imagine Steve Kerr reacting that way?
Oh, my God, no.
No. If he's asked about the future viability of Cade Cunningham as an Olympian, Steve Kerr is going to give you a well-thought-out, classy, dignified answer.
Yes.
Which is the opposite of what I think Coach Reeve did.
There's just no reason for that whatsoever.
Can I get an unnecessary shot here?
Sure.
Has anybody ever gotten a $200 million contract that less Americans know than Cade Cunningham?
No, probably not.
I think he has to be the least known athlete to ever sign a $225 million contract. When I saw that, I was like, oh,
yeah,
I kind of forgot about him there. Good for you,
pretty
buddy.
Amazing.
That's awesome.
So anyway, be better, America.
Yeah, no, that's just absolutely terrible. But Caitlin Clark just continues to do her own thing and to prove all the doubters wrong.
Yeah, they win again in Minnesota. Now, granted, Minnesota didn't have Incarnate Word's Nafisha Collier. She's been out since the 4th of July. But still, Caitlin Clark, she can only play who she plays, and her team keeps winning. It's pretty impressive. We are off and running here on this edition of the Opening Drive. Coming up, 3 things we loved from the weekend. Stick around. All right, time for three things we love about the weekend here on 101 ESPN. By the way, we did. I should mention that we got a text says, "Good morning, drive woke fools. I wonder what social issue current event you will completely ignore today." And we are not going to ignore what happened over the weekend, the very important social issues that are occurring with the fleet of drones patrolling New York City because the beaches are just apparently awash with sharks. And so
sharks are a big issue right now.
They are. And struggling swimmers are dealing with this situation in New York beaches. So we're not going to ignore that. As a matter of fact, since the drones began flying in May, flocks of birds have repeatedly swarmed the drones. So that is one of the biggest issues facing America right now, and we are not going to ignore it. I'm going to say that those birds have every right. They have airspace. They have every right to attack those drones.
I'm really glad that you're addressing the elephant in the room here, because I was wondering if you were bought out by Big Shark, honestly, because you're really ignoring the sharks and the issues that we've seen from them recently. And I was wondering, is Randy bought out by Big Shark?
Randy, there are American mayors everywhere worried about their tourist industry. They can't shut down the beach.
You're going to need a bigger boat.
I did actually watch, I will say, though, about sharks, and then we can move on. There's a great documentary called After the Bite, which really addresses why we are seeing a rise. I am fascinated by sharks. I'm not kidding. I'm glad that you brought this up. I am fascinated by sharks. Grew up loving to watch Shark Week. Still watch it to this day. Enjoy just learning about sharks. After the Bite documentary that's out there. Fantastic stuff about why we are actually seeing more shark attacks here recently.
Oh, but this is scary stuff. And it's a social issue that we will not ignore on the opening drive.
I'm glad we're addressing this.
All right. Number 3.
So for me, on Friday, it was a beautiful evening, and I spent it over at Forest Park because they have the movies over at Forest Park. Have you seen that before?
On Art Hill?
Yeah, on Art Hill. I absolutely love it. And Back to the Future was the feature film that evening. It was perfect. Great night. It wasn't too hot because obviously they got really hot, especially yesterday and today. Even today, getting up this morning, it was super hot outside, but it was a perfect evening. So many people out there. It was so much fun. They even had the DeLorean out there, Randy.
Oh, so cool.
Yeah.
Good.
So it was so much fun. And they're doing Meet Me in St. Louis next weekend.
What a
if
magnificent,
you want to go next Friday.
Oh, that's great. What a magnificent view that is, too, right?
It is.
With the art museum and everything.
Yeah.
That is really cool.
And Back to the Future, always a great movie to watch with a bunch of people.
One of the all-time best. Did you know that 2 and 3 were recorded at the same time? They filmed them just to knock them out. So they did 2 and 3 basically over the course of like a 10-week or 8-week span.
No, I didn't know that.
Back to the Future 2 and 3, yeah. So same cast, everybody just stayed together and did number 3 after they finished number 2.
I didn't learn until recently that they actually had different characters or different actors for the characters originally, and then they decided, no, we're just going to recast everybody.
Yeah, and for all of the great roles that Michael J. Fox had, that's the best one, right? Marty McFly is. Do you think that's his best role? I mean, he did Michael P. Keaton, or
It's his best movie role.
Yeah.
I think that's fair. Actually, I never thought about that, but I think that's fair.
Yeah.
Because it's like it was made for him.
It really is. Brooke, it was really cool being at the ballpark. You know what's fun is the people at our stadiums, and I noticed this at CITYPARK on Saturday too, but people around the ballpark are just happy, and they spawn happiness, regardless of how the team is going. And the team is going pretty well right now. But I got to give credit to the people who take the tickets, the people who are the ushers, the people who are the concession stand workers at our stadiums. They're just fantastic. And if you want to have a happier day, go to a game, because the people, and I know this comes from the top from both of those franchises, and we're not going to leave the Blues out. They just aren't playing right now. But if you want to have a happier day, go to a ballpark. And I was there on Friday just running into ushers and the people that work at the stadium. They're fantastic, and that was a highlight of my weekend. I just love stopping and talking to those people, talking some ball, and everybody that works there is a baseball fan. So it's a lot of fun.
So nice.
Yeah.
Always so nice over there. Everybody's super kind. And just also the energy, too, from what the Cardinals were able to come back from the beginning of the season. Even fans, I'm sure, are a lot happier, too. You said you went Saturday, right? Just for the day game?
For the day game on Saturday, yeah.
Okay, because a lot of people were talking about the night game. It sounded, when I was watching it, if somebody was at the night game, they can text in. They were talking about that it was probably the loudest that they've heard Busch Stadium in a while.
Mason Wynn said that.
Yeah.
So, pretty cool.
Number 2.
Well, you know me, tennis fan over here, and I've been talking about this guy a lot. And this past weekend, Carlos Alcaraz winning Wimbledon, what he's been able to do, he has now 4 Grand Slams at just the age of 21. That was his second time winning Wimbledon, and he is just absolutely fantastic, Randy. I told you a lot about how much I enjoy watching him play. He is a complete player for being so young, and he's dominant on every single court, and he continues to prove that. It felt like it was a passing of the torch this past weekend. With him losing, or to Djokovic losing to him, it really felt like a passing of the torch. Now, there is a big talent gap in tennis currently right now because it's Alcaraz and basically everybody else is, there's a big drop-off from that. So it's not like what you had with the big three with Federer and Nadal and with Djokovic in that picture. But at the same time, it doesn't take away from the excellence that we are seeing from Alcaraz currently right now.
And if he wins the U.S. Open, he will become the first men's player ever to win 5 majors before the age of 21. Pretty impressive. And
his forehand is nuts. And I think this might be kind of controversial, but I don't think to some tennis fans that they will think it will be. But I think that Carlos Alcaraz is more of a complete player than Federer, Nadal, and Djokovic when they were 21. Now, Nadal was close. I would say Nadal would be the closest.
Okay. Does his skill set translate to being maybe the best ever?
It will take time because you still have a lot to do to catch up with Roger Federer and even Djokovic. And Nadal, of course, my favorite player, but still, for him to be such a complete player at the age of 21, there's no telling where he can stop. And he doesn't really have much competition like we talked about with Djokovic and Nadal and Federer all playing against each other. There's a big talent gap, so he really could go on a dominant run here.
Brooke, my number 2 is I always like to see St. Louisans do well. And Tony Vitello, the former DeSmet student and DeSmet grad, head coach at Tennessee, obviously has done well, winning the national championship this year. He is a star, and not only a star as a coach, but if he wanted to go to MLB Network right now, he would be a star as an analyst. He was on with Greg last night on MLB Network's coverage of the draft, and Tony Vitello was just sensational on the coverage of the draft. And I'm very happy that he's doing as well as he is in college. But, man, you talk about a charismatic guy. And if you're a young baseball player, and I say this, I know there's a lot of people who have sons that are baseball players that would like them to go to Mizzou. I don't know if you're recruited by Tony Vitello by the national champs, how you don't go to Tennessee.
He's just exciting.
Yeah, he's an impressive guy.
Yeah, and just even the way that he was talking about his players, too, that was just so you could tell how passionate he is about, obviously, baseball, but also his players. Yeah. Who wouldn't want to go play for him?
And opposing players, opposing SEC players that are getting taken early. He was very complimentary of them, too. He's great.
Number 1.
So number 1 for me will be the fact that the Cardinals, anytime that you can beat up on the Cubbies, especially twice in one day, that will always be a highlight, Randy. So sweeping the doubleheader on Saturday was absolutely great. And I asked you earlier, and we had some people text in about if the night game was the loudest they've heard Busch Stadium in a while, and people were texting in saying they couldn't agree more. The night game was the most fun game I've been to in my life. It was the perfect day, and rightfully so. The day game, as you mentioned, 9 runs in the first inning, and then you have that come-from-behind victory in the nightcap with the go-ahead 2-run single by Nolan Arenado, which is something that you really have been waiting to see from Nolan this season. So there was a lot to love about that doubleheader on Saturday.
Get used to 2-run singles?
Hey, if you win, you win.
Yeah, right.
Who cares by which manner? So, they win in different ways. I think that was a great way to showcase how they can win in different ways. Of course, you can't expect 9 runs in one inning all the time, but still.
Well, maybe when you're playing the Cubs. By the way, you just get the ball in play, okay, against the Cubs. Nolan Gorman, watch what's happening in the game. Just get the ball in play against the Cubs, and they're going to throw it around. So you don't strike out with the bases loaded, nobody out, no outs in the inning. That's kind of redundant, isn't it? Nobody out, no outs in the inning. Yeah, and I know that's his game. He strikes out a lot. But, man, it was unbelievable to watch. And it is amazing to watch people like Donovan and Wynn and Burleson who will cut down on their swing and don't try to hit a home run and just get the ball in play and make it productive. And the Cubs helped you make it productive a lot on Saturday in that 9-run first.
Oh, yeah, they helped. They helped quite a bit in that inning.
Brooke, as fun as that was, I was not at the night game. I was over at CITYPARK with our friends from Together Credit Union on Saturday night, and they were such unbelievably great hosts with a tailgate party and then hanging out in their seats. But, man, you talk about an organization that does everything right. St. Louis City SC does. And I talked to our mutual friend, all of our friend Mark Abel, and I said, hey, you guys do everything right. Just walking around the stadium and seeing everything that they do and the way they handle their business. If you're a sports fan, doesn't matter whether you win or lose, they do everything right. Now, would you prefer to win the game? Yes. We didn't get an opportunity to be very loud over at City Park, except for the supporters on Saturday night. But in terms of having an organization, having a business that is run exquisitely, I got to experience that on Saturday night. And so St. Louis City SC, congratulations to them on a great fan experience. And thanks to our friends at Together Credit Union, because they are the official credit union partner of St. Louis City SC, the official banking partner. And all of the partners with St. Louis City SC are really into it. I mean, they are invested in City SC. So thanks to Schnucks and Together Credit Union, Anheuser-Busch, Hoffman Brothers, all the people that are doing what they're doing with City SC.
There's not a bad seat in the house.
No, there's not.
No,
it's
they
great.
thought of every single detail. Carolyn Kendall, I remember when she was coming up for the plans. I don't know if you talked to her also when they were coming up with just the renderings of the stadium, but I mean, they worked with so many people to think of every single detail of the fan experience.
Yeah. And even the press box,
and now
by the
seeing
way.
it executed.
Yeah. You think about now the NFL with the press boxes in new NFL stadiums are in the highest corner that they can find. Matthew, the press box situation over there at City Park, not that people care about the media, but they did that right, too. Because if you're doing a game on radio or TV, you like to be able to see what's going on.
They did. They made one mistake. Just
What?
if you're going to have games that happen in February, November, and July, maybe not completely open air.
Well,
You want to feel what the players and
Elements.
fans are feeling.
Yeah.
Nah.
That goes into the
Yeah.
storytelling,
That's what
so the
they
writers
do.
can type on a chilly
No, hold on a second.
February evening.
And that's why the Cardinals did it right. If I want to feel the elements as I talk about a Cardinals game in July or October when it's very different degrees, I can open and close the window.
Okay, get him a blanket in February.
I
so
bring
you guys
one.
see.
I'm just saying. That's all I'm saying. Hey, you bring up the topic. I have an opinion. I'm gonna say it. That's all I'm saying.
If Joe Buck is doing a game in Lambeau in December or doing a game in Cleveland in August, the elements are going to be available to him. The windows are going to be open for every single game that Joe does. It doesn't
Broadcasters
matter.
do always have windows open. Every place they're at, no matter where it is, even if it's outside and it's 30 degrees, they will prop those windows open. I love the option.
Yeah. Oh, you want air conditioning.
Yes.
No, obviously I'd have the window open the whole time because I'm not broadcasting this situation, so I really need to immerse myself in the elements. I'm just sitting there writing and taking notes. So yeah.
Coming up here on 101 ESPN, John Mozeliak has talked a lot about Jordan Walker. Is it interesting to you that his comments about Walker are focused on this upcoming offseason? That's coming your way next on 101 ESPN.
Hey everyone, it's Brooke here, and I want to tell you why I love the Missouri Athletic Club. It's because they're helping me stick to my big goals for this year. One of my goals was to get back to the sport I played my entire life, which is tennis, and I love going over to the West location and hitting with Scott. It's also helped me with my pickleball game. The other big reason is to get into better shape. I've always been in, I would say, good shape, but I really wanted to push myself physically, and working out with Christine twice a week over at the West location as well is so much fun. They always provide such a nice experience. It's so much fun going over there. It really feels like I've joined a community, and that's why I love my MAC.
This is Rocky with your Sports Center update, driven by Johnny Londoff Chevrolet and Johnny Londoff Autoplex. The Cardinals close out their first half with a loss against the Cubs on Sunday, 8-3. Miles Michaelis goes 5 1/3 innings pitched, 8 hits allowed, 6 earned runs, 2 strikeouts, no walks, but 4 home runs in that game. It is now, of course, the All-Star break. You can catch the Home Run Derby right here on 101 ESPN tonight. Coverage starts at 7 p.m. There was some news yesterday as the Cardinals made a big pick. West Virginia shortstop J.J. Weatherholt was their first pick in the first round of the MLB draft at number 7 overall. That is your Sports Center update, driven by Johnny Londoff Chevrolet and Johnny Londoff Autoplex. See them at londoff.com. Chevy, together we drive. Are you kidding me?
Welcome back to the opening drive on 101 ESPN. How about that dramatic pause?
Oh,
you like
yes.
that?
Yes.
Kind of get people, what's going on
Oh,
here?
wait, what's happening? They call it a millennial pause now amongst Gen Z. Have you heard of that? So they make fun of, so Rocc and I are obviously millennials,
Yeah.
and Gen Z always finds a way to make fun of us. And so their new thing is the millennial pause, which is where we kind of take, like on a social media video, we take a little pause and then we start talking. Instead of Gen Z, they just go right into talking when they do a video.
I think it's better to take the little pause because you can cut off the front of it, having been in broadcasting for a while. If you don't take the little 3, 2, 1. Hello, everybody, and welcome. Yeah.
Behind the scenes, the computer froze on me when we were supposed to be playing audio, and so all of a sudden everything I had to play for us went kind of dead on me, and I was like, "Well, that's not going to be good."
No, Randy's a millennial.
Yeah. Do we have?
We now have Mo. We have Mo talking about Jordan Walker.
Here's the thing. I love the fact that people pick on boomers because we're like the healthiest people in our 50s and 60s that the world has ever known. We are smart. We are wise. And people don't like it that we have opinions that are correct. So they call us, they say, hey, boomer. Well, there's nothing wrong with being a boomer. There's nothing wrong. And you know why they say it? They hate us because they ain't us.
Oh, there it is. You are smart. You are kind. You are important.
We are. Thanks, Brooke.
That's what it reminded me of.
Oh, no, we're good enough. We're smart enough. And doggone it, people like us.
And you're sticking around.
So J-Dub yesterday in Memphis went 1 for 5. Jordan Walker this year is hitting... He is hitting 243 with a 311 on base and a 372 slug. And Cardinals sent him down in May with the hope that maybe May, June, July, he could develop and get better over the course of the season. John Mozeliak yesterday on Fox Sports Midwest with Jimmy the Cat Hayes asked about the progress of 6'6", 260-pound Jordan Walker.
I think we got to remind ourselves we have to be patient. It's always tough to make dramatic changes in a season. There's no doubt about it. I think what we're trying to do is lay the foundation so when he enters this offseason, he has a strategy and a plan to work on it. And spoke with Ben Johnson just yesterday. He's excited about the baby steps he's making, and we're going to just keep trying to build on that. But overall, you got to remind yourself, he's 22 years old. He has enormous upside, and for us, we just have to be a little patient. But expectations of him being a key player for the St. Louis Cardinals in years to come are very real.
I wonder why they feel like they have to make dramatic changes now after drafting him in 20, seeing him in all of 21 at the minor league level, all of 22, and you brought him up at the beginning of 23, and you brought him up at the end of 23. Why is there a necessity for dramatic changes that are hard to make during the course of the season?
I don't know. I'm still trying to really understand and figure out what exactly is going on here, because at the same time, it's hard to really disagree with the Cardinals that he still has to produce in the minors. I do understand that. You can't just call somebody up. You said his slugging percentage is what again?
372.
Yeah, and he's struggling, and he hasn't been hitting well, obviously. And so it's hard to disagree with them that the production is not there in the minors, so there's not a way to call him up. You do need more right-handed bats, and that's something that we've talked about a lot. But what do you think of how they've handled Jordan Walker
I think
in this
it's been
situation?
abysmal. It's been terrible. And here's the thing. If you're saying that in a guy's second full, what should be his second full season in the majors, and his fourth full season in your organization, 21, 22, 23, 24, and he has to make dramatic changes to get to be good, these numbers are not major league numbers. 243, 311, 372, that's in AAA. And AAA is a lot different than the major leagues these days. I wonder what's wrong with the development mechanisms that the Cardinals have in place that are preventing him from advancing and getting better. And actually, Brooke, he has regressed. His first year in Pro Ball, 2021, first year where he was actually playing games, 317, 388, 548, 936 OPS. Second year at Springfield, hits 306, 388 on base, 510 slug, 898 OPS. Why has he regressed as a member of this organization? I wish we knew why, but it is troubling, and especially when he says he's going to be all set up for this offseason. So this is a wasted year for Jordan Walker, a wasted 2024 for Jordan Walker. I don't care if he's 21, 22, whatever. This is a young man's game now. Corbin Carroll came up and won Rookie of the Year. He's bouncing back after a rough start for the Diamondbacks. How many young players are we seeing? Julio Rodriguez went through a lull and is bouncing back for the Seattle Mariners. We're seeing a lot of 22-year-old players that are playing really well. So why do we have to be so patient with our 22-year-old?
That's the thing, is that it's really just hard to see, because he was also supposed to be a big part of this outfield going into this season. And to see how this all has played out, I get his numbers weren't great, but you do worry about kind of, I would say, more mentally how this has taken a toll on him, because there has been a lot of mixed messages in the handling of the situation of Jordan Walker where, you like that the way he handles adversity. You say he's going to stay in the majors, and then what happens?
He winds up in the minors, and he's told people that he's frustrated by the mixed messaging, by getting the message, okay, you need to go change your swing, you need to go change your pitch selection. Well, he changes his swing, changes his pitch selection, isn't as effective, doesn't produce as well, but is doing what they say, but then they say, no, you have to produce. That's confusing. Yeah, he was producing before he made the changes. They want him to make the changes. He does, and he's not producing. And they say, no, that's not what we want. We want you to produce. Well, what do you want? What do you want from me? And apparently that has spawned some frustration for Walker.
Well, you could see the frustration even last season. Remember with what he said? We played that sound. I can't remember specifically what he said, but where he talked about that he got told that he just basically They just need to let him get back to what he needs to do. And that's what he started thinking about. And then we saw him come back up to the majors not long after that.
Yeah. And thank goodness the Cardinals are in the hunt and competitive. But, boy, they sure could use a right-handed hitter, and it's amazing that they got through the first half the way they did. Basically, Contreras was gone half of the first half, and you really didn't get any real production out of Goldschmidt and Arenado, and Walker was in the minors. So for the Cardinals to do what they've done essentially without any real substantial right-handed pop is pretty impressive.
It is. I guess the biggest thing is that you hope that Jordan Walker can start to build back up his confidence. That would be my biggest thing is, can he build back up his confidence? Because that has to be tough. I understand, because the counter argument that I see a lot of people say on social media is, well, he's an athlete. You have to deal with a lot of adversity. He has to find a way to work through this on his own. It's on him at the end of the day to produce. And I do understand that side of it as well.
Yeah, but the thing is, though, and the Cardinals have shown this before, you can produce, but if it doesn't look the way they want it to look, then they'll say you have to change the way you're doing your business.
Because they are looking for something very specific.
Yeah, they are very process-oriented, at least at the start of the day, but at the end of the day, he's got to produce. Well, maybe your process needs to be better.
So he's laying a good foundation for this next offseason. When he came up last year and then proceeded to hit 277 with a plus 800 OPS last year, I feel like that seems like he laid a pretty good foundation going into the 2023 to 2024 offseason. So what happened in that offseason that he wasn't able to carry it over, and then we have him, with this astronomical ground ball rate to start 2024, and what is going to be the different way they approach this offseason with the foundation he has now laid at a lower level of competition with a lower batting average, a lower slugging percentage, and a lower OPS? I'm just confused about what's going to be different about 2024 than was the winter of 2023.
They don't want him to be the player that he was meant to be. They want him to be a player, apparently, that they want, which is getting a lot of loft.
Yeah.
And by the way, I will point out that just because he's 6'6" and 260, if he gets the ball in the air, does not mean that he's going to hit a bunch of home runs.
Yeah.
All right? Mickey Mantle was 5'10" and 175 and hit 536 home runs. Size and home runs don't necessarily go hand in hand.
So I found the quote from last year because I knew it was something very specific where it kind of was telling about Jordan Walker and his approach and how he was handling at things. So Jordan Walker, when he was sent down to Memphis, they were trying to get him to hit the ball in the air more, which is the same thing they're talking about this year. And remember, Walker told media in Memphis, he said, there's no point if I try to hit the ball in the air if I'm not hitting the ball at all.
He's right. He's right. So maybe what the Cardinals need to do is I'm not going to tell them how to run their business. They're going to get what they get out of Jordan Walker.
Yeah. Here's a question for you real quick from the room floor, because I do see this a lot. You guys always make the assumption that Walker is good. Isn't it possible that he's not? What has he done to make you think he's going to be a star? Not much, really.
Well, here's the thing. A lot of independent experts, and I'm not an expert. I'm a fan with access. But experts, general managers, scouts, people like Jim Bowden, Kylie McDaniel, people around baseball that have been in the sport or are in the sport regarded him as a top 5 prospect in all of baseball. He was a superstar in the futures game. He has all the tools. If you watch the games, you can see that he has all the tools. Now, you may be right, but there were a lot of people that saw him play and saw the numbers that he put up. And I'll give you the numbers again. 936 OPS in his first full pro year, an 898 OPS at Springfield in AA with a 510 slug, 19 homers, 68 RBIs at the age of 19 in AA. People are able to glean a lot of knowledge that have been around the sport by looking at him and then looking at the statistics. And yeah, he might not be good, but that would mean a lot of people were wrong. And that includes the Cardinals, by the way, who compared him to Pujols and Tavares.
Yeah, that was a big...
Mo did that.
That was a big comp.
Yeah.
Quite the comp.
So, but he might not be good. I would, and we need to get to a break here, but I would point this out, and let me get to what I need to get to here. But last year, when he came back up, he was dynamite, and he was doing it against major league hitters or major league pitchers, and I think everybody was I was really excited about what he was capable of doing after he came up last year. Last year, second half of the season, after he comes up, Walker hit and this is at the age of 21, 271, 338 on base, 436 slug, 775 OPS, and finished the year with 16 home runs and an overall OPS last year. Hold on, let me get to it. Here we go. Last year's overall OPS was 787. 16 homers, 51 RBIs, 276 batting average. So there was a lot to like there. And so that's why I think people thought that he could be good, because he has been.
I think the power will come with Jordan Walker, because we have had people, and we're not doing the comp like we were talking about, but people have pointed out, and this is a good point, that, Aaron Judge hit a lot of ground balls early on too, and then the power comes. We've seen that with a lot of players. I mean, even look at, were you expecting this much power? That he had his 17th home run this past weekend for Alec Burleson. Were you expecting that from Alec Burleson?
No. Even when he hit 331 in his last year at AAA, it wasn't. I didn't project this amount of power from
exactly.
him. I mean, he's on pace for 30 homers. Yeah, and hopefully the Cardinals will make it so that Jordan Walker doesn't have to think when he steps to the plate. If you're going to talk about the offseason, do what Goldie and Arenado do. Have him go down and work with Matt Holliday for a week down in Oklahoma City or in Stillwater. If you want to get him to be a better hitter, this is nothing. This has nothing to do with Turner Ward, but because they're both big guys, and heck, Jack Clark. I don't know if the Cardinals want to get Jack Clark but if you want a big guy that hits the ball hard with a level swing, you got a couple of right-handed hitters right in your own backyard that you can give a try to.
Yeah, that would be fantastic if we work with Holliday.
Yeah, and Jack Clark was a major league and minor league hitting instructor too, so can't go wrong with either one. That's Brooke, that's Matthew, I'm Randy. Coming up, we've got Take It or Leave It. Get your text into the Air Comfort Service text line, 314-399-9646, 314-399 Yo-ho! Tioli next on 101 ESPN.
Leave it.
Want to say something? Want to put it out there? If you like it, you can take it. If you don't, send it right back.
Get your text into 314-399-9646 and give us your Take It or Leave It.
Brought to you by Gloria Lou Realty. Visit GloriaHasTheBuyers.com and start packing.
That's my final offer. Take it or leave it.
It is time for Tioli here on 101 ESPN. Brooke Grimsley, Matthew Rocchio, Randy Carricker. Great to have you with us. And Brooke, as the Cardinals start the second half of the season, they're going to have to go on the road. And it's not going to be easy for the Cardinals as they traverse the second half. But with the way things get started in the second half of the season, with the trip to Atlanta, and then after you visit the Braves, then you go to Pittsburgh, and you'll probably see Skeens after he starts the All-Star game. You'll probably see him in the last game at Pittsburgh before coming home to take on the Nationals and the Rangers. Take it or leave it, the Cardinals will get off to a good start in the second half of the season.
Ooh.
On the road in Atlanta, in Pittsburgh.
Get off to a good start.
I'll say 4-2 on that trip would be considered a good start.
Yeah, okay.
You going to take that?
I'll take it. Get guys a little bit more rest, maybe healthier. I'm trying to do sunshine and lollipops.
I like that.
It will be, now, there's no doubt August will be insanely tough for him, but I'm hoping that the break will actually be more beneficial than harmful, because there's also the counter thought of, well, you're already building up this momentum. I know they lost yesterday, but still the momentum that they built up towards the end of this first half, you would like to just kind of continue that on. But the break is also necessary with the health that you want with this team right now. Staying fully healthy is priority number one.
And this is such a grueling schedule. I would hope, I know Kyle Gibson is going on vacation. I would hope that Arenado and Goldie will just set the bat down for Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. Maybe pick it up again. You play on Friday, pick it up again on Thursday. Just take a deep breath, maybe hit the reset button for 3 days here and clear your head. And hopefully Arenado and Goldie can get, this team will be a lot different if those two hit anywhere close to what they've done over the course of their careers.
You know that will be hard for them, though, right?
Oh,
they will want to try to dissect it, fix it immediately.
They have been told to set the bat down, and there's no faith at all that they will.
All right. Well, take it or leave it. We're always talking about promoting the young stars of Major League Baseball. Take it or leave it. The Futures game should not be happening during a full slate of big league games that are happening during the weekend. It should be a standalone event during the All-Star break. So I came up with a plan for you. Okay. So Sunday, you have the celebrity game. Monday, Futures game, because that's also a travel day for the All-Star participants. Tuesday is the AL, NL team practice, media day, all that stuff. And then Wednesday is the All-Star game. So that way you have the Futures game as a standalone event on Monday, and it's not taking away from anything else because you have the All-Star participants flying in, getting settled in, all that stuff.
I'm good with that. I think that's a good idea. Yeah, get more eyes on your future stars, right?
Yeah, because you have the break going on, so why not promote that where people can look at, okay, well, what does my team have coming up in the future here?
How about this idea for baseball? Another way to do it, taking nothing away from your great idea, but how about if you have every game that's played in the major leagues on Saturday be a day game, and then have the only baseball game played on Saturday night be the Futures game?
That's another good idea. But either way, it should be a standalone event, so that you don't have other stuff happening at the exact same time.
They quit playing the Sunday night baseball game before the All-Star break so that they could have the draft as a standalone event.
Yeah.
So why not?
Well, it reminds me of hockey when they do like the Winter Classic, which is such a cool event to see and even cool to watch on TV, but they'll have other NHL games going on at the exact same time. It's like, why would you take away from this huge event that you're putting a lot into?
Agreed. Yeah. All right, Matthew, what do we got on the text line?
Take it or leave it. You still have faith that Jordan Walker sees major league time this season?
I'm going to leave that. I have no faith.
Yeah. After those comments that we played earlier, I'm going to have to leave it. It seems like he will be staying in the minors this year.
Take it or leave it. Thanks to Paul Skeens, the Pirates are going to be sticking around until the end in the wild card / division race.
I will take it. Now, Jones apparently is going to be healthy. We aren't sure about that, but with Keller and Jones and obviously Skeens, that will, and Aroldis Chapman down in their bullpen, who's pitched pretty well for them. Yeah, I think they've got a lot of good things going for them.
They do.
They could use another bat. I wonder what they'll do at the deadline. They should buy.
It's the Pirates, though. You never know with them sometimes.
Did you see or hear? And I didn't hear it happen. Funny, but apparently Adam Wainwright called him out on national TV.
No.
He said, hey, Pirates owner, do something. Go buy.
I think a lot of Pirates fans have been saying that for a while now.
You want me to buy now when we have an outside chance, or want me to pay Paul Skeens in 10 years? Which one do you want?
I think we can do both.
Which one do you want, huh? Yeah. Tell him that. Take it or leave it. The Cardinals' infield of the future is first base, Biscuit Burleson. Second base, Wetterholt. Shortstop, Wynn. Third base, Gorman.
I'm going to leave that. I don't think Gorman ever makes his way over to third.
Well, he started at third, didn't he?
I know, yeah. I think there's a better chance of Walker playing third than Gorman.
Really?
It's the only way it can go now.
Yeah, but Donovan could play third.
So what is Gorman, your DH?
But this is pretty far into the future because Arenado signed through 27. I don't think he's going anywhere. I think Gorman is hard to have a 210 hitter be your DH, right?
Yeah.
He's not a great defensive player. I do think ultimately Weatherholt probably has a chance to be the second baseman. Mm-hmm. Weatherholt and Wynn in the middle. I think Biscuit at first base makes sense, unless that's Walker. But maybe let's do 2028. Walker, Wynn, Weatherholt, Burley. Walker third, Wynn short, Weatherholt. Walker, Wynn, Weatherholt. We need to get a W at first base. I'm sorry. Walker, Wynn, Weatherholt. We need to get
another W.
Christian Walker. Let's get Christian Walker. But no, how about that infield though? Third, Walker, short, Wynn, second, Weatherholt, first, Burley.
Yeah, I could see it. I wasn't expecting third for Walker.
I wasn't either. But that's where you hit the best. So
I do see just to take it apart, but I do see Weatherholt and Wynn pairing well up together up the middle.
And still have Thomas Sajaci down there. He had a home run yesterday.
Oh, yeah.
314 was asking about Sajaci as well. But I think the issue with both Sajaci and Weatherholt is they both don't have the arm for third base, right?
I think that's right, yeah.
Mm-hmm. So the only option there for those guys is second base, essentially.
Yeah.
Are they good enough outfielders? Are they good enough like Donovan to be left fielders eventually?
There's a lot that can happen between now and 2028.
There you go.
There's a lot.
Newt was 1 for 13 over the weekend. Take it or leave it defensively. You like just going with Ciani, Edmund, Carlson, or Donovan than him?
Oh, you have to get Edmund back first.
Yeah. I'm not going to use this snapshot to make my determination about Lars Nootbaar. I think if I'm going to go with the larger picture, maybe the 5,000-foot view here, I'm going to put Nootbaar ahead of Edmund and ahead of Carlson, who is Nootbaar's the best offensive player among that group. Ciani's the best defensive player from that group. But I would, in terms of playing the outfield, maybe not necessarily center field, but I would rather have, this is me talking, I would rather have Nootbaar playing even a corner outfield spot than Carlson, and I'd rather have him in center field as an all-around player than Edmund.
100%. I agree with you on that one. And that's the situation you have right now.
Yeah. And Ciani is not an automatic out anymore. Not that he's Willie Mays out there, but he's not an automatic out anymore.
No, but his bat is developing.
And Willie Mays is
progressing.
dead. I mean, he's kind of an automatic out.
Oh, Randy.
One more to clean the palate after that one. Take it or leave it. You're concerned downtown might get even more dangerous if the Sharks start coming up the Mississippi.
Oh, take it. 100%.
You got to watch out there.
Okay, I even presented this idea, okay?
Oh, no.
No, this is
tourism
logic.
on the water.
So, a couple of weeks ago, I went to a game that started at 6:15.
Uh-huh.
And 2.5-hour games in baseball now, 7:15, 8:15. And it was like a 2-hour and 15-minute game. But during the summer, when kids are out of school and so many people working from home, take it or leave it, more fans would come because they get out of the game, out of the stadium while it's still light outside, if you start at 6:15.
Yeah, I would take it.
Now, obviously, people that have to work until 5 o'clock at an office don't like that as much.
Yeah.
So it's a fine line. But I do like I loved walking out of the ballpark.
And it's still bright outside.
And it's still light outside, yeah.
Yeah.
So,
I think that's true for anything. You know,
yeah.
I would
Feel safer, right?
Yeah. I like day games.
Yeah,
in
the
general.
other thing we can do is just enhance the safety.
Oh, that's an idea.
Yeah.
Well, you got to address sharks too. I was trying to think.
Yes,
sorry,
this is true.
I was thinking of what is the best shark movie outside of Jaws. But okay, take Jaws away. I think that's the obvious answer.
Yeah,
but I'm
right.
saying outside of Jaws, what are the other best shark movies? Megalodon. I think it's cheesy. A lot of them are really cheesy, but then like I still enjoy watching them.
Yeah, I do too. Yeah.
I love it. Shark Week, anytime they talk about Megalodon, I'm like hooked.
Yeah.
That's the conspiracy theory I'm buying into.
By the way, can our city, I know that we've got issues with our 1% tax. I know people don't want to talk about politics, but could we afford the drones to look for sharks on the Mississippi?
Is that what they should be talking about with the Rams relocation money,
there
Randy?
You go. Drones to keep an eye out for sharks.
Sharknado. Okay, that was something that people, Deep Blue Sea. Okay, yeah.
Okay.
I mean, those barges are moving pretty slow. I think we just strap cameras to the sides, and that takes care of our sharks.
On the sharks?
No, on the sides of the boats. The barges move so slow. It'll give you a good
view. Yeah,
give you a good view.
Thought. Yeah, just all it takes is one shark trying to jump up on the side of that barge, though, and eating somebody's leg.
Those are pretty big barges, though. I don't know if a shark can make that jump.
Well, Jaws could do it.
That's true.
Oh,
could do it.
That's why Jaws.
Yeah.
Well, can you get sharks with freaking laser beams?
Laser.
That's what we need to be spending money on.
Coming up, the Cardinals' first half is blank. That's next on 101 ESPN. We have a lot of gems in St. Louis, and one of them is Mentality. It's a breakthrough treatment that helps men regain normal function and restore your ability to perform normally at all levels. And Mentality is a great local clinic that will help you get your energy level back to where it was when you were younger. Here's what they have. They have an FDA-approved testosterone treatment that you go in every week and get, and you will sense a huge difference in the way you go about life because you will have so much more energy. They have two great locations, one in South County, one in Chesterfield. Go to lowtusa.com and find out what Mentality does. And when you do, you'll love the fact that they're going to get your testosterone level, which is basically your energy, back to where it was when you were in your 20s. You can learn so much by going to lowtusa.com, and you can get rid of some of those decreased levels of energy. And if you're fatigued and tired all the time, it'll change your life dramatically. Thousands of guys in St. Louis have benefited from Mentality, and you can too. Make your appointment today. Get started at lowtusa.com for Mentality.
perspective on today's top stories. This is Fresh Take.
Presented by Lindenwood University. Real experience, real success.
Well, I think you take away the last 3 games. Overall, we've been playing very good baseball. You go back to early May, I think we have like one of the top 3 records in the game. So we obviously got off to a poor start in April. We've been trying to recover from that. I think we've reset ourselves pretty well. Now, ultimately, it's about getting healthy and having a strong second half.
That is Cardinal Pobo, John Mozeliak, Pobo Mo, with Jim Hayes yesterday. You like that?
I do. Pobo Mo.
Yesterday on Bally Sports, talking about the first half. Cardinals end the first half of the season, the nominal first half, because this is the All-Star break. They have played 96 games. They're a half game up on the Mets for the third wild card spot in the National League, and a game and a half ahead of Arizona, actually, for the third wild card. And the Cardinals are 4.5 behind Milwaukee as they will start play after the All-Star break. And they have a record of 50-46. Brooke, if you would have told me that the Cardinals would have gotten the production that they've gotten out of Arenado and Goldschmidt, that they would never see their starting outfield for the entire first half. Their opening day outfield was supposed to be Nootbaar, Edman, Walker. And basically, you have not had those 3 in the first half. So you don't have those. You're supposed to have 4 right-handed hitters, Arenado, Goldschmidt, Walker. Not seeing much of them. And then you lost Contreras for 6 weeks. And you were going to be leaning on people like Donovan, Burleson, Wynn.
And
Ciani. I would have thought, okay, well, they'll be fortunate, especially once they were 9 games under, they'll be fortunate to be within 5 of 500. So for me, in my opinion, to be 50-46 at this mark is quite an accomplishment for the Cardinals. Now, does this portend things for the second half? Schedule's going to get tougher. We don't know if Goldie and Arenado are going to get any better. And you do have an old rotation that really has not suffered any dents yet. So I'm not sure what the second half will bring. I thought at the first, when the season started, that they would be a 500 team. I think they can be better than 500 now. I think they could be an 86, 87 win team, especially if they can get their corner guys hot. But based on everything that's happened, and this is the injuries and the lack of production and the issues with Jordan Walker, if you would have told me 50-46 before the season with everything that's happened, I would have said, okay, I'll take that.
Well, even if you went back to early on this season, as the season was unfolding, where they were off to that 15-24 start, I mean, we talked about it. We thought that they were going to just really start dismantling things because it wasn't working. It felt like it was a carryover from last season. The fact that they've been able to really regroup and rebuild themselves, now they go into the All-Star break on a 35-22 first half run with what they've been able to accomplish. I think that it surpassed my expectations, especially if I take into account what happened so early on in the season. I was not expecting this whatsoever. You had so many injuries. You had, as you mentioned, Wilson Contreras, who was one of your best hitters, the only one who was providing anything consistently at the plate. The fact that he went down and you were without him for 6.5 weeks and they were able to still mount this comeback. And then you have him coming back earlier than expected. And it's like he picked up right where he left off. You have the emergence of Pedro Pajes. I know that his bat still isn't there, but it is progressing. But what he's been able to bring to this team defensively, I'm very surprised they were able to accomplish all this.
And it's hard to win if you look at history with rookie catchers. And the Cardinals had 2 of them. Without Contreras, when you have Pajes and Herrera, they're fortunate, I guess, that they had the veteran starting pitching. But they were 8 games over 500 while Wilson Contreras was out of the lineup. That's pretty impressive. So I think there's a lot of good things. And I'm with you. I was thinking, okay, this is all, I was thinking teardown. I was thinking manager, Pobo, when they were 15-24. I think all of us were kind of stunned by what happened early on. But you look at it from that perspective, that they were 9 under. And at 15-24, now they're 4 over. Pretty impressive job.
I have to give a lot of credit to Oli Marmol for keeping that clubhouse intact. It all also goes back to when he was thrown out in that Rockies game. And I think that was something, we talked to Kyle Gibson about it, and he talked about, remember, doing it at the right time. So that, you know, he has a lot of managers who've done in the past, but doing it at the right time, and he felt like Oli Marmol, that was the right time for him to do it. And the progress that you've seen since then, I think that says a lot, that Oli has been able to really keep that group together. We talked a lot about the veteran leadership coming into the season, and I think that's another case of it paying off because you could tell just even when you go into the clubhouse, haven't you noticed that the difference from this year and last year is that it seems like they're not really rattled by much.
No, and again,
and I think that's a credit to the veteran leadership, and then guys continuing to step up in leadership roles like a Donovan.
Yeah, and it is amazing to hear about being at the ballpark on Friday and reacting to a lot of the response that we get, like with having Crawford and Carpenter on the team. And first of all, Brandon Crawford before the weekend had 57 at-bats. I mean, 57 at-bats in 95 games.
Yeah.
So, but it's remarkable to hear people talk about how young players will come to them and say, man, Crawford really helped me here. And Brandon Crawford
Same thing
is
with Matt Carpenter.
Yep. Those two are spreading their wisdom. And I mentioned this the other day to somebody over there. I said, just wait until we, and I mentioned this when we did our Big League Impact event.
Yeah.
Just wait until September when you have these two guys that have been there that can help young guys slow it down. Donovan, Burleson, Wynn are going to benefit so much from having those guys on this team.
Yeah. So we got a lot of texts about this because you would have hoped to, not just split the series with the Cubs. It felt like they were evenly matched at times. The doubleheader, fantastic. You were able to sweep that. But does it change your mind in any way, the performances from Friday and Sunday, how you were able to close things out with the Cubs going into the All-Star break?
I would have liked to have gone 4-2 rather than 2-4 on this homestand.
Mm-hmm.
And against the bottom four teams in baseball, Colorado, Oakland, White Sox, I don't remember who the fourth one was, but the Cardinals are 8-8 against the bottom four teams in baseball. But and here's the big key, they're 1-6 against the Brewers, and they've been outscored 42-16 by Milwaukee. That's the big difference right now. You're 4.5 behind the Brewers. If you're playing 500 ball, you're right there in the hunt. So I'm looking at the season, and I know I shouldn't, because the Cardinals should have beaten up on the Cubs. But I'm looking at it as more of a portfolio because the Cardinals it's weird, they're doing better against better teams and worse against worse teams.
Yeah.
They're kind of like the Blues. They're kind of like playing to the level of their competition, aren't they?
Yeah, it does feel that way, but not completely as bad as the Blues got there, especially.
So, but
rough.
I'm reasonably confident that here's what I'm looking at. If the Cardinals are in the hunt, based on what this team is, I don't think that they're a super team like I think Philadelphia is. I think the Dodgers, when they're healthy, are. I don't think they're a super team. I think they're a pretty darn good team. If the Cardinals are in the hunt at the beginning of September, I'll be happy. And I think that with their veteran starting pitching, hopefully they'll get one more. I think they have a chance to be a playoff team.
I know, and that's what I was going to say, is that you feel a lot better, one, if Goldie and Arenado, as you mentioned, start producing at least to what you expected from them this season. They don't have to have maybe career-high numbers, even though that would be very helpful. Then we could really talk about a further push into the playoffs. But having those two going, and also if you could add another really good starting pitcher to this rotation, I think that would be a huge advantage. And then you could look into this team actually making, I would say, a decent run.
Yeah, I think that is a distinct possibility. And the big key is going to be keeping that starting pitching healthy, getting 5-6 innings out of this. Because if you get some quality starts, like Michaelis, 9 of his last 13 starts have been quality starts, and you win 72% of the games where you get a quality start. So just keep getting quality starts, and good things can happen. That is today's Fresh Take. Coming up, we're going to talk some Blues hockey and more with our buddy Chris Kerber, the voice of the Blues, here on 101 ESPN. Kerb's next on 101 ESPN.
Hey, folks, it's Chris Kerber here. I just spent 2 weeks up in Massachusetts, and you know what that reminded me of? How much I absolutely love my central air. If you spend part of the summer in a house that doesn't have your air conditioning working or doesn't have central air, you know how much you actually are going to miss it. So we're heading home today. Can't wait to get there, sit in an air-conditioned house. And you know why I know it's working? Because it's cared for from Classic Air Care. You get your service from Classic Air Care. You get that unit maintained. You make sure it's working. You make sure it's fired up. And you make sure that it's working properly throughout the summer months. If you maintain it, you can help avoid costly repairs or maybe even having to replace the whole unit. However, we know that things do break down. And if they do break down, you can call Classic Air Care as well. That's what you got to keep them in mind. Put them front of mind if things go haywire. Call or go online at classicaircare.com. Set up an appointment. They can take care of you and make sure that your house is comfortable. That's what they do. Check out all their amazing reviews with a 4.8 Google rating online at classicaircare.com. And remember, it's Classic Air Care. They've been making people comfortable since 1926.
Brooke and Randy, and we head to the Celebrity Line, and our buddy, the voice of the Blues here on 101 ESPN, Chris Kerber, joins us. Kerbs, how was your vacation?
Randy, it was great. I spent some time there in the Northeast and got to check out some college hockey rinks. So it was a good tour for that. Saw Vermont and Boston College, and they're going to be tearing down the rink at Northeastern. So saw where that was, and things just to when you see all these different college kids that are coming into the NHL. And you go into their rinks, and it gives you something to talk to them about. So it was a neat couple of weeks, and glad to be heading home.
I'm glad that you're making your way back to St. Louis. Okay, new Northeastern rink, just the spitball in here. Vitale Auditorium, Joe Vitale Memorial Coliseum, something like that?
Well, you know what? I think they might have called them to ask about that. And I think the alumni donation he might end up with like a bread pop-up, for all the games on the concourse. I think that might be where it has to go. Like Joey's sourdough to have during the intermission.
I love that idea. He stopped by here recently, Kerbs, and I said, we need the sourdough bread. We have an exchange that we're trying to work out. Randy's carrot cake for Joey's sourdough.
Oh, that, you know what? That's a legit good trade. Like that to me is that's like the Eric Johnson for Shattenkirk and Stewart kind of trade. It's just a good hockey trade.
It is, totally.
Well, Kerbs, just a few things happening with the Blues while you were gone. What do you think about the new addition of Ryan Suter?
Yeah, it's really intriguing to me, and I'll get over the next few weeks kind of get a little more understanding of exactly what's gone on, but the one thing that has definitely happened, and guys, Doug Armstrong did this when he first took over in 2010. If you go back to thinking when he brought in Jason Arnott and Jamie Langenbrunner and Daryl Sador, right? He brought in veteran guys to put around the young guys. And, yes, we still have plenty of veteran guys, especially on the D-corps. But to me, in doing so, he's also created competition. the one thing that we know for sure is Doug Armstrong doesn't want young players thinking that they're entitled. Okay? So if you're Scott Perunovich, you got to earn this year every bit as you had to earn last year. Because if you don't, there's plenty of defensemen on this roster that can play. And Ryan Suter has played all 82 games each of the last 3 years. So I don't think age really is a factor for him. And he was averaging 18 minutes, a game in that scenario there. So to me, I think what Doug Armstrong has done, both on the forward side with the Josephs, with the depth that he's signed, is he's created internal competition. And except for a handful of guys that know you're set, there can easily be roster moves if some guys outperform somebody in training camp. Hey, Randy, you aren't going to believe this. You're really not going to believe this. I don't know if you can hear the street sweeper in the background here, but I'm on the campus of Indiana University right now, touring those athletic facilities. I told you I've done an athletic facility tour here, but also touring with my daughter, Ava. I picked a real quiet – I am literally in the middle of trees. There's like a fire. I'm like, oh, this will be perfect. It's totally quiet. And literally as we're going, the one street sweeper in Bloomington, Indiana is now going right past me. I don't know what it is about the show and the timing here, but
it's live radio. It's just that's the way live radio is.
The one Bloomington, Indiana street sweeper found me.
That's amazing. Kerbs, one of the things that we hear consistently from Tom Stillman and Doug Armstrong is about the plan. And I think that's one good way for us as fans to look at the way this team is built and look at it from a 5-year standpoint, look at it from the standpoint of having to re-sign a guy like Jake Neighbors down the road, having some of these young players on the way that also are going to have to make bigger money. So if people were thinking, for example, about a Stamkos, having a Stamkos at $8-9 million would probably cause you to not be able, if you add him to Buchnevich, would cause you to not be able to sign younger players down the road. I think we as fans need to take, and I know it's hard to do, take more of a long-term view of what the Blues are trying to accomplish here.
Yeah, you hit on several great things there, Randy. First off, one thing to keep in mind is after 4 years of that salary cap being flat, you can expect the salary cap now to go up over the next few years. So some of the cap hell that some teams have found themselves in, that's going to get relieved. Okay, a team like Nashville with the signings that they had, that can work out really well and they can be competitive for a cup right now, or they could age really quickly and it could be a struggle. We'll just have to wait and see. Now, I do believe at some point in time you've got to play in the sandbox and bring in those kind of players, but we've seen the Blues do that when they went and signed Bozak as a free agent at 30 and when they went and traded for Ryan O'Reilly. So they're willing to do it. But you're right. The plan is important. And I think a great, comparison here would be, let's look at the Cardinals just down the street. If you're a Cardinal fan, what were your expectations? What expectations did the organization itself put on you for this year? It wasn't really clear, was it? All right. If you're the St. Louis Blues, you don't have to like the plan. You may not agree with the plan. You can debate whether or not certain players fit, certain players don't, or whatever. But they've at least presented a plan for you, so your expectations over the next 2 to 3 years, are what they are. They want to be competing for a playoff spot. But are they going to be one? Well, that remains to be seen. They brought in veteran players there. You've got good young players coming in they're excited about. Does a Dvorsky make the team this year? Snuggerud is clearly going to be here when his collegiate season ends, whether that be at the end of this year or depending on how deep the Blues go or don't go next year. All those kind of things are in there. So you at least know as a fan, you know what's coming, you know what you expect, you know the type of product to see, and even they've done it from a management standpoint with the announcement that they made a couple weeks back of Alexander Steen. So, Randy, to me, with putting that kind of plan in place, again, time will tell whether or not it works out, okay, but at least the fans know what they're getting. They know what they're buying into. You know when you buy season tickets, you know what you're going to see, and you know you're going to see a team that's progressing forward, and I think that's a really smart way of doing business. And I don't know that you see it all that often in the world of sports.
No, you don't. It's such a microwave situation, and people react to the fans wanting to win now. And sometimes having a sustainable plan is a good thing, especially with an organization like the Blues, where I have confidence that they know what they're doing. You don't really want to have a team that has a plan that doesn't really have a clue, a franchise, the Buffalo Sabres. But it's nice to be able to count on a guy like Army to build something sustainable for the long term, and that's what he wants. And I think he wants to leave things in good hands for Alexander Steen too.
I think that Doug Armstrong takes an intense amount of personal pride in knowing that when his time is done, in 2 years after as general manager and a total of 5 as president of hockey operations, he will take immense amount of pride to knowing that this team is set up well for the future. The second aspect of that, and this is the one thing that I think fans have to be really confident on, from the moment that this ownership group took over, all right, that Tom Stillman put together an all-local ownership group. From the moment that they did that, every possible resource that they had to put to the hockey operation side, they did. You know, you go back to the late 90s, and hockey operations was pretty much Larry Plow, Bobby Plager, a handful of guys, and Mark Sauer's president of the team. Now look at what you have with the Al McInneses, the Scott Mellenbys, the Peter Chiarellis, and all the different people that have played a role in things, and now bringing Alexander Steen back in. The thing that I really think that you got to keep sinking your teeth into is, you know, that as long as Mr. Stillman and this ownership group are in charge of this team, are stewards of this franchise, as they like to put it, they are putting every possible resource they can into the product on the ice for the fans. They've done it from day one. They're going to continue to do it. And that's something that I think has been real unique to ownership of the hockey in St. Louis, and something that they should be absolutely applauded for.
Absolutely. Kerb, safe travels home. Thanks so much for the time. We appreciate it. We'll see you soon.
Okay, guys, let's get back into summer heat.
Love it. Thanks. That's Chris Kerber, the voice of the Blues, here on 101 ESPN. Coming up, we've got the fight. We need a fighter. 314-399-9646. 314-399-YO-HO. If you would like to fight me, just text that number with your name and the word fight. Maybe Matthew will pick you to fight me next on 101 ESPN. Are you thinking about selling your home? Well, check this out. Michael and his family interviewed a few agents, but none of them guaranteed their price. Gloria Lou guaranteed his desired price and ultimately ended up getting him more money. Plus, Michael was able to pick his closing date as well with Gloria Lou with Your Home Sold Guaranteed Realty. That name and her promise says it all. Your Home Sold Guaranteed Realty. Gloria's mastered the home selling promise and guarantees up front and in writing to sell your home at your agreed to price and time frame, or she'll buy it herself, guaranteed. Does your agent compare? Probably not. Think about it. You've got a price in mind for your home, and if you and Gloria agree on that price, she is going to get that price or she's going to buy the home. Pretty simple, and it's a pretty cool way to go about selling your home. She has all of the tricks and all of the right ways to sell your home, and she can set it up so that you can pick your closing date, you can pick your time frame, and she'll have the perfect situation for you. Here's your next step to get started. Call Gloria Lou at 314-325-6888, 314-325-6888, or visit GloriaHasTheBuyers.com. As always, Gloria and seller must agree on price and possession date. To learn more, visit GloriaHasTheBuyers.com.
This is Rocky with your Sports Center update, brought to you by Saliga Heating and Cooling. The Cardinals close out their first half with a loss, getting beat up by the Cubs 8-3 on Sunday. Miles Michaelis does get beat up. 5 1/3 innings pitched, 8 hits, 6 earned runs, 2 strikeouts, and 4 home runs allowed. You can catch the Home Run Derby, speaking of some home runs, tonight on 101 ESPN. Coverage starts at 7 p.m., and there was some big news for the Cardinals yesterday with one of their highest draft picks in the last 3 decades at number 7 overall. One of the selections potentially for number 1 fell all the way to them, and they were able to select West Virginia shortstop J.J. Weatherholt. That is your Sports Center update, brought to you by Saliga Heating and Cooling, an independent American Standard heating and air conditioning dealer.
Welcome to the fight. In the red corner, Average Joe Listener. And in the blue corner, the undisputed king of morning drive. Please welcome Randy Carricker.
Welcome back to the opening drive. Brooke, Randy, and Rocco here, and it is time for the fight. And our fighter today is Ryan. Ryan, how are you doing?
Great. How are you guys?
I'm doing great. Is this your first time facing Randy in the fight?
This will be my second time. First time I crashed and burned.
Oh, no. Well, maybe this time will be different. It sounds like you were outside today. Is that correct?
I'm currently driving right now. I got you on the Bluetooth. Is that all right?
What do you think, Rocchio? He's the audio engineer.
Yeah. Turn up your volume when you're speaking. Maybe your speaking volume a little bit. I'll try to pot you down when you're not talking, so we don't have to worry about the air. But we do need to hear your answers, so maybe just a little bit higher on the speaking volume would be very helpful.
All right.
There we go. Audio engineer extraordinaire. Okay, you ready for question number 1, Ryan?
Yep, let's do it.
Okay, and on this day in 2007, the Cardinals beat this National League club for its 10,000th loss, the first franchise to ever hit that mark. This team still has the all-time loss leader, the all-time loss leader in Major League Baseball history with over 11,000. Who is it? Is it the Phillies, the Braves, or the Cubs?
Oh, boy. Let's go the Braves.
All right, number 2, the longest streak in Blues history for leading the franchise in points was 8 consecutive seasons. Who holds that record? Is that Bernie Federko, Vladimir Tarasenko, or Brett Hull?
Let's go Brett Hull.
All right, question number 3, Ryan. The record for the longest field goal in NFL history has changed a couple of times over the last few years, but who is the current record holder with a 66-yarder? Is it Matt Prater, Brandon McManus, or Justin Tucker?
Justin Tucker.
All right, and number 4, who was the only Cardinals pitcher in the live ball era to win 30-plus games in a season? Is that Bob Gibson, Jesse Haynes, or Dizzy Dean?
I'm going to guess Dizzy Dean.
All right, we will double-check our score, and we'll bring in Randy Kerber.
Ryan, how are you feeling?
All but one were a guess.
Okay. You never know how we'll go. Are you at least having a great drive while also participating in the fight today?
Oh, yeah.
As always, it's nice and beautiful outside today. It's Monday. Fresh start to the week. Oh, Randy is in here now with his new hydration cup. What is it? What did you say this one's called?
It's a Brewmate.
It's a Brewmate.
Okay, so watch this.
So you can show on the YouTube what you can do, your little trick.
Look
with
what he can do. Okay, you move the thing over to seal. It says seal.
Oh, that's important.
No lid. And
he just turned it upside down for those who are listening.
Yep.
And he went all Dairy Queen on us with it.
Yep, you can turn
Nothing
it upside
came
down.
out.
Nothing comes out. Pretty amazing.
There you go. Randy, say hi to Ryan.
Ryan, good morning. How you doing?
Good, Randy. How are you?
I'm doing well. Thanks for listening. Thanks for playing. We appreciate it.
Thank you.
Ready for question number 1,
Ready.
Randy? On this day in 2007, the Cardinals beat this National League club for its 10,000th loss, the first franchise to ever hit that mark. This team is still the all-time loss leader in Major League Baseball history with over 11,000. Who is it?
11,000 losses. Let's see, this date in 2007. First one that comes to mind is the Giants. 2007, we were not very good. I think the logical play here, the Cubs have not been as bad as people make them out to be. They've been around for a long time. I'm going to go with the Giants, though.
Randy, the longest streak in Blues history for leading the franchise in points was 8 consecutive seasons. Mm-hmm. Who holds that record?
Okay, let's see. Bernie probably went from 77 or 78, 79, 80, 81, 82. It's either Federko or Unger, I would think. Unger, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I'm going to go with Bernie Federko.
Ready for question 3?
Yes.
The record for the longest field goal in NFL history has changed a couple of times over the last few years, but who is the current record holder with a 66-yarder?
66-yarder. Seems like this was in Detroit. Was it Matt Prater? Matt Prater? Just to make sure, I'll do the lifeline. I think I might know it if you give me the lifeline here.
Okay. Matt Prater, Brandon McManus, or Justin Tucker?
Ooh, did Tuck hit the 66? Seems like Matt Prater hit one in Detroit, maybe at the end of a half. So I'm going to go with Matt Prater.
Randy, who is the only Cardinals pitcher in the live ball era to win 30-plus games in a season?
Is the 30s the live ball era?
1920 is when the live ball era starts.
I think I'll go with Old Diz, 31-7, I think. Like in 1934 or something like that. Old Dizzy Dean is who I'm going to go with.
Randy, that was a good choice on number 4. Because we have a tiebreaker. Oh. All right, Ryan, here are the rules for the tiebreaker. I am going to read out the question. We're going to give Randy Kerber a moment to write down his answer. As soon as he has written down his answer, we will check with everyone here. We all know what it is, so we can't change it. We'll then get your answer audibly. Randy Kerber will confirm his answer, and then whoever is closest to the pin is the winner in today's fight. Do you understand those rules, Ryan?
Yep.
Randy Kerber, do you understand those rules? Yes, he does. He wrote down yes on the paper. I wasn't looking up, and so I didn't see it there. My bad. Thanks, Randy. That was fantastic. All right, so we know number 4, the answer was not Bob Gibson. So my question for you guys is, what was Bob Gibson's career high in games won in a season?
It was... we turned him down, huh?
Yeah, well,
yeah, he's driving.
Did you find the air? Was it a soothing sound for you?
I did, yeah.
Was it a soothing sound? Can I see the guest there? Thank you very much, Randy Kerber. All right, we got a guess from Randy. Ryan, what is your guess, sir?
I'm going to guess 22.
All right, I was afraid that was going to happen. So guess what? You guys are both one off. Randy Kerber, you guessed.
I said 24.
His career high was 23, but that's okay. I have backup. Tiebreakers just in case. With the new NFL regular season having 17 games for each club, how many total games are played in the NFL regular season? Take a guess.
Okay.
Don't cheat, Ryan.
Can't.
Why would you say that to him?
I would say it to anybody.
You would?
He's driving.
That's true. That would be, don't be risky, Ryan. Be safe.
Well, he's on Bluetooth, so we know he's safe.
There you go. Guess from Randy Kerber. Why is my pen not working? Sorry. I'm failing. Ryan, what is your guess, sir?
16.
No,
wait.
How many total games are played throughout the entire NFL season?
Gotcha. Let's go 310.
Your guess is 310. Randy Kerber, what is your guess, sir?
I said 332, sir.
All right, that means that we do, in fact, have a winner in today's fight. Was it Ryan taking down Randy Kerber on this Monday? Or does Megamind roll right on through this Monday with a victory? Ring that bell.
The winner and new champion of the fight, Average Joe Listener.
The fight is presented by Golf Discount of St. Louis, with the most experienced club fitters in town. Why shop anywhere else?
Congratulations, Ryan. You edged Randy Kerber out on the second tiebreaker for the day, and that means you are a winner in today's fight, and you will go for round 2 tomorrow. Congratulations, sir.
Awesome. Thank you.
There we go. Let's go through the questions and the answers today. On this day in 2007, the Cardinals beat this National League club for its 10,000 loss. That was the first franchise to ever hit that mark. And this team is still the all-time loss leader in Major League Baseball history with over 11,000. It was the Philadelphia Phillies. Again, still the only club over 11,000. The Cardinals, by the way, are now one of 9 clubs that have crossed that 10,000 loss threshold over the last decade. Plus, longest streak in Blues history for leading the franchise in points was 8 consecutive seasons, and it was Bernie Federko, 1978-79 through 1985-86. Brett Hull, by the way, did lead the Blues in scoring 8 different times, but in the 1992-93 and 1993-94 seasons, Brendan Shanahan was actually the points leader for the Blues, and so that broke up Brett Hull's potential to tie that streak. Longest field goal in NFL history was changed a couple times over the last few years, and exactly what I was referring to there was Matt Prater hitting it, but then Justin Tucker coming over the top, Prater's was a 64-yarder. Justin Tucker came over the top with a 66-yarder to set the current record.
The opera singer is a good kicker, huh?
The opera singer is a good kicker. And the only Cardinal pitcher in the live ball era to win 30-plus games is, in fact, Dizzy Dean. What's crazy to me is he's the second most recent pitcher to throw 30-plus games, because it goes Dizzy Dean, Denny McClain, and then nobody else from there.
Pretty wild.
Of course, Bob Gibson's career high in games is 23, for a little bit further away from 30, and 272 was the number for our second tiebreaker. So 310, a little bit closer than 332. So Ryan, again, thanks for joining the fight and joining the show today. We will talk to you tomorrow.
Awesome. Thank you, guys.
Thanks, Ryan. Someone from the 636. Randy got set up. There was math involved.
Look, I even showed my work.
Look, you did.
I'm so proud of you,
Look at
Randy.
you.
No, it was wrong.
Well,
I did 17 times 16.
but you showed your work, and I'm proud of you.
Oh, thank you. I don't know. 7. Carry the one. I don't know.
Math has never been your friend. That's on me. That's on me.
No, it's okay. Get it. Coming up,
Get it.
we've got our rush hour reset here on 101 ESPN. Are you going to get out and play golf this week after your round? Head on over to the Fenton Bar and Grill. Have some great food and drink. They have wonderful servers for you. You'll get a chance to see Kelly and Megan and Casey. The whole gang will be there. They have a great bar with all of the drinks that you could ever want. They know how to make everything there. And if you want some food, they have a spectacular happy hour Monday through Friday, 2 to 5. 6 appetizers for $6 each, including mini tacos, fried dill pickles, spicy cheese curds, plus portobello mushroom strips, pretzel bites, or fried green beans. And don't forget to try the greatest trash wings that you'll ever have at the Fenton Bar and Grill. They have an award-winning signature golden sauce that is fantastic with those wings, or their ranch is fantastic. Plus, if you're going for lunch or dinner, a spectacular patio and great food, a great menu at the Fenton Bar and Grill. Learn more and see the menu at FentonBarandGrill.com. And when you go, tell them Randy sent you. You're going to have a great time and enjoy yourself. Just 2 minutes away from the soccer park on Rudder Road, it's the Fenton Bar and Grill. It is 8:55 in St. Louis. Time check brought to you by Clarkson Jewelers, an officially licensed Rolex jeweler. The Cardinals head to the All-Star break on the heels of an 8-3 loss to the Cubs yesterday at the ballpark. Cardinals split the series with Chicago. They go 2-4 on their final homestand before the break. And as we speak, the Cardinals at the All-Star break are 4.5 behind Milwaukee in the National League Central. Milwaukee with a record of 55-42. Cardinals are 4 back on the loss side at 50-46. But in the all-important wild card race, the Cardinals sit second of the 3 teams. The Braves lead the wild card race by 3.5 over the Cardinals. The Cardinals are a half game ahead of the Mets, who, if the playoffs started today, would be in the playoffs. And Arizona and San Diego are both 1 game behind the Mets, so a game and a half behind the Cardinals. And Ryan Helsley, of course, is the only Cardinal representative at the All-Star game. Chaim Bloom has been pretty quiet this year, although he was hired as a special assistant to the president of baseball operations. He spoke to Jim Hayes yesterday on Bally Sports about what he's been doing. Oh, Mo talked about what Chaim Bloom has been doing.
I think what we did was we brought him in to get an independent view of how we do things, and ultimately he's going to present to myself and ownership on what types of changes he might do. And obviously we've been together a long time, my group, and change is inevitable. Things are going to start to change, and so really I just want to make sure that we have a long-term strategy on what that looks like. And as the next year comes and goes, we have some steps we can take to start implementing those changes over the long view.
So let's talk about your future. You're under contract for next year. You're a guy who has other interests. You've been here a long time and put together a really good legacy here. Do you know what the future holds for you?
I don't know specifically. I know I won't likely re-up on a new contract. So I think, as I said earlier, change will eventually happen. And I think that's good for any organization, because having a fresh voice, a fresh set of eyes is, I think, something that everybody can benefit from.
And that's what Chaim Bloom presents to the Cardinals. And I'm with Mo on a fresh set of eyes, especially because the Cardinals, from 1996 until they hired Chaim Bloom this past winter, they hadn't really brought in somebody with a say in their organization from another major league organization since Tony La Russa in 1996. Sure, they have brought in people like Jeff Luhnow from the business world, and they have promoted from within with people like Gersh and some of the others that are in the front office. Bob Gephardt came earlier, but for the most part, it hasn't been people that have been in Major League Baseball since baseball changed dramatically. Baseball has changed a lot since the Cardinals last won the World Series. So I think having a guy like Chaim Bloom is beneficial, and Chaim Bloom gets the opportunity to learn this organization and find out whether or not he wants to perhaps pursue the job when Mo doesn't re-up. Or could it be a situation where, I don't know if we would find out, but maybe it'd be an Armstrong-Steen situation where Bloom might be the Pobo in waiting.
Yeah, that was my first question. It almost sounds like there's a changing of the guard in the sense, and that he's recognizing that. One, what you said was 100% correct. It's so important to bring in somebody outside of the organization. We've talked about that last season, a fresh set of eyes, a different perspective to come in, and also Bloom and his history with what he was able to do with, of course, Tampa and their pitching, and really finding and developing pitchers. I think it's something that's what the Cardinals organization is looking to add, because that's something that you need currently right now. We're talking about which young pitchers they have currently within the organization that they could call upon currently right now that could help this team and fit right into the starting rotation. And I don't know if there's really any available options at this point. I know that we've seen Gordon Graceffo, but we don't know what his future will look like. He's 24 years old as well, but what other young pitcher in the organization looks like they are currently ready right now if they needed them to come up?
There is not one, Brooke. It just doesn't exist. So that's something that needs to change.
So do you think that Bloom will be the heir apparent, or what about Gersh and Flores?
I think those two both have to get opportunities. I'm sure that they'll go through an interview process. Last time they had the situation when Walt Jocketty was fired after 2007, Chris Antonetti and Mo were the two finalists. Chris Antonetti, now the Pobo of the Indians. Those two were the finalists, and Mo got the job. You have to, in my opinion, interview everybody. And then the other part of it is, who's going to be in charge at that point? Is Bill DeWitt Jr. still going to be the chairman of this team? But does Bill DeWitt III have more of a voice? Does Mo have a voice in who the next president of baseball operations is? There's a lot to be decided between now and then.
Because Mo's not going anywhere. He's just going to be transitioning into a different role with the Cardinals organization, correct?
Yeah, right. And maybe you set it up. Maybe Bill Jr. becomes chairman emeritus, where he's a figurehead. And maybe Bill III becomes the chairman. And then maybe Mo takes over the presidency that Bill and goes to the business side. I don't know if that would be stimulating for Mo or not, or if he even wants to work for the Cardinals or in baseball. He does have a lot of other interests. But then you could have a new Pobo, have a new baseball side and a fresh voice on the business side as well. But there's other people there, if that would happen, where Bill DeWitt III wouldn't be the president anymore. There's other people within that organization that I would think would be interested in that job too.
What do you think just happened? I mean, it feels like that was forever ago, but remember, it felt like they were starting to transition things over to Gersh because Gersh was speaking more to the media. It seemed like Mo was trying to pass the torch more in that sense and hand things over to Gersh, but then maybe because of everything that happened last season with the 71 wins and obviously the 91 losses, they felt like they had to kind of pull back on that a little bit.
Well, it seems like organizationally they have pulled back, right? Because Mo used to do every Friday home game, Mo would meet with the media, and I don't get those texts anymore if he is meeting with the media on Fridays. And it doesn't seem like Gersh has taken up the slack for those. So the Cardinals baseball side communication seems to fall pretty much to Ollie these days, except for, and Jimmy the Cat Hayes does a great job, I think it's every Sunday, with Mo, who also shows up on KMOX. But in terms of the overall media, it's pretty much a one-on-one. If we wanted to get Mo on the show, we can get Mo on the show. But in terms of the overall media, he doesn't do that availability like he used to.
Yeah, it's just mostly one-on-ones currently right now.
Yep. Also, the Cardinals did draft last night. They had the 7th pick in the draft. Highest pick since, is it 1997 or 98?
1998.
1998, J.D. Drew. And they took J.J. Weatherholt from West Virginia. He was a shortstop there. Missed most of the season with a bad hamstring and was affected most of the season with a bad hamstring. A lot of outside sources, CBS Sports and Baseball America among them, projected Weatherholt as the number 1 pick in the draft. As a matter of fact, before the season, before the injury, he was kind of a consensus number 1 pick in the draft. The best pure hitter, according to many, in this draft, and hopefully he's healthy and good to go. But the Cardinals, by all accounts, people that played against him and watched him play, got a good one in JJ.
Yeah. This is a huge gift for the Cardinals. It really just fell in their lap. As you mentioned, a lot of people thought he could be the number 1 overall pick. And he seems to be, as you mentioned, the best pure hitter available in the draft there. And I think the hamstring really did probably affect his draft stock this year. But by all accounts, he is a very, very talented hitter. Obviously, he hit, what was it, like 449 last year? He was the NCAA batting champ. Like, he's a pretty good hitter, I would say. And he's 21 years old. I enjoyed just hearing how he handled the media yesterday too. I know he's 21, so obviously you saw that experience show up a little bit more. Obviously, playing college ball as well helped him, but you could tell that he was very confident and very well spoken. And I like the outfit too. So maybe that's
great.
I feel like you have to be a very confident person to be able to pull off that ensemble. And
I asked Randy Flores last night, former left-handed reliever in the major leagues. I asked him from a pitcher's perspective, former major league pitcher, how would he approach Weatherholt? And he said, well, lefty reliever. He said, I'd probably get taken out.
That's funny.
So that's the Cardinals' first pick, and they'll draft a lot more today. Coming up here on 101 ESPN, our buddy Bengie Molina from the Cardinals Spanish radio broadcast, former major league catcher, will join us in studio on 101 ESPN. Hey, exciting news from Schnucks. You know, I'm always talking about how great the rewards program is at Schnucks, and now it's even better because they just added new perks to make it more personalized. They have personal double points days, which means earning rewards is easier and faster. And all you have to do is keep an eye on the rewards app for your personal double points day coupon. Once you clip it, you can use it to get double the points on your entire purchase. So instead of your usual 2% back, you're getting 4% back in Schnucks rewards points when you use them on the right day. You get to choose when you use the coupon, and you could apply it the next time you do a stock up, so you really get the bang for your buck, or you can use it if you just go in to buy one thing. It's an in-app coupon, so be sure to download the Schnucks Rewards app and check your digital coupons, and that's where you'll find this coupon when it periodically pops up. And don't forget to take advantage of dingers for donuts. Every time the Cardinals hit a home run, you can get a free donut with your Schnucks Rewards app the day after the Cardinals hit that home run. Download the Schnucks Rewards app and look for the personal double points days and get those free donuts from Schnucks. With Brooke Grimsley, I'm Randy Carricker. It's the opening drive on 101 ESPN, and we're fortunate here in St. Louis to have a great Spanish language broadcasting crew, Polo Asensio, and the world champion, Bengie Molina, who joins us in studio now. Good to see you.
Oh, no, it's good to be here. Always, always. Thank you for the invite. Thank you.
It's great to have you with us. By the way, a world champion with the Angels, and then almost got a second one, although you got a ring. One of the few people in history to get traded from one World Series team to the other World Series team, yep. And you got a ring from both, right?
Yes. I always call that my friends got me a ring, right?
In San Francisco, yeah.
My boys hooked me up. Yeah. Well, actually, the next year, I think it was Arthur Rhodes that was from Texas to St. Louis, or from St. Louis to Texas.
Yeah, we had him here. He won. Yeah.
Yeah. All right. So he was with the good boys.
Yeah.
Bengie, it's always great having you on. And of course, we have to talk about the first half for the Cardinals. Not a great start, but the way that they've been able to really regroup and finish things off really strongly in the first half. What was your big takeaway from that?
Oh my goodness! At the beginning, Brooke, it was tough. Obviously, as a fan and as doing my job over there in the booth, it was really tough, to watch. Because remember, last year we had a rough time, and everybody was thinking, "Man, here we go again," and this is not going to change. And all of a sudden, since May 12 or something, we ended up being like the third best team, and they got exciting games. They were winning 1- and 2-run games, and here we are, 50 wins. I mean, it is amazing. How can you not be so excited for this team? Everybody's criticizing, oh yeah, we have these guys, we don't have these, we don't have that. We won 50 games in this first half when we really started pretty bad. And all of a sudden talks about the manager, talks about coaches, and here we are. 50 wins, I don't know what happened yesterday with the Brewers, but we were 3.5 games out of the Brewers, which it could be more now. But so excited, so many positive things, Another good number that I saw, 3 starters got 32 wins. The 3 starters they brought, 32 wins out of 50. Those 3 guys got. And then you add Michaelas with 7. He didn't have a good game yesterday, but he had 7 wins. So you got 39 wins out of 50 with starters. And we haven't even talked about the fifth starter, the guy who starts the fifth game. And so I think we should be, as a fan, should be so exciting for the second half. Shouldn't wait. I can wait to really see what this group can do and how far they can take us.
Certainly, we haven't seen from Arenado and Goldie what they've done in the past. So that's another reason to be excited about 50
That's a
wins.
plus.
Right. So what's your confidence level in those two veterans that have been so great being able to be what they've been before in the second half?
Let me tell you, we have won 50 games with kind of struggling Arenado, kind of struggling. No, it's not struggling. It's just that they haven't met their numbers, right, where they always are. And we have 50 wins. I'm super excited. I tell you, I'm super excited to see. And I said it at the beginning. Yeah, they're struggling, but the last 2 months of the season, that could be their 2 months, and we haven't even seen it yet. So how great would that be that we just go out there through the second half, and all of a sudden, the last 2 months, these two guys said, "All right, guys, we're driving the bus. Just jump on," you know, and they start doing what they do normally. And if we won 50 games without, you know, obviously with them, but, you know, not having their numbers like they usually do. But imagine if they start doing that. Imagine if they start playing and producing way more than what they did now. Man, we're in good shape.
And they were able to do it with Wilson Contreras injured, which is something that you never want to see. Luckily, of course, he's back, and it's like he picked up right where he left off. But we got to also see the other catchers emerge, including Pedro Pages. What have you seen from him, and how impressed are you by him?
I'm super impressed with both of them. I really am. Ivan, those two guys took care of the team when our main guy, our stud, went down, you know, on a heart injury. He was out like 6 weeks, if I'm not mistaken. For 6 weeks, these two guys battle behind the plate. These two guys did their job to keep the team going. That's a lot of games for Wilson to miss. And all of a sudden, here we are counting the wins, you know, 50. And those two guys have a really big impact on those 50 wins. Obviously, Wilson is our guy. What I see from Pedro, it's more of a communicator with the pitcher. You can see that. You know, Ivan was more like a timid guy behind the plate, and he was thinking about what it's going to call. Maybe he wasn't, you know, in tune, you know, at that time. But Pedro, man, he just goes with the pitchers, and you can see the pitchers. Look, I get goosebumps because I see this all the time. And when the pitcher and the catcher are locked in, all you need to do is having the pitcher make the pitch, and that's it. You know, obviously, you know, you have to do that to win too. But man, Pedro and the pitching stuff, whenever he catch, you can see how good they are on the same page, and that you don't see many timeouts. You don't see a cut on the rhythm. The rhythm is very important. A lot of people don't think of that. The rhythm on the pitcher and the catcher is very important. And if you have the stop to tell him, no, I want this. I mean, that disrupts the rhythm. So I see that a lot. He's coming along. He's a good hitter. He's a good hitter too. And I know Ollie is doing a good job, you know, mixing up Contreras, let him rest, catch him, DH. So I think Pages is on the upright, and he has a cannon. That helps too.
How unusual is that, though, for a young catcher with a veteran staff to have that sort of chemistry? You and your brothers grew up catching, but you didn't know the pitchers, right? It seems like there's got to be a development process that has happened really quickly between Pages and the veteran pitchers.
I think it starts in spring training. Spring training is very important for those guys, and the reason is because the main guy, our guy, usually don't play that much at the beginning. So who plays a lot? The young guys. In this case, Pedro, in this case, Ivan, they play a lot in spring training. So that's the most important part for them to get in tune with the pitching. And since they catch him so much, I think they have the upper hand because they already seen him so much. It's like Gracefo when he came over, and I saw Pages catching. You know, and I was like, wow, I mean, that makes sense because they were both in the minor leagues. He knows how he pitches, so things like that. So I think it's very important for them to do it, but spring training is a big thing.
Herrera obviously dealt with injury, and then he was able to come off the injured list, but he's staying in the minors right now. Obviously, he does a lot offensively at the plate. He's fantastic, but it seems like they still want him to work on some things defensively. What have you seen from him, and is there a way as a catcher that you can improve your arm strength during the course of a season?
I mean, I think it's always a way. It's always a way to improve your arm strength. But if you're hurt, that's not going to happen. If you feel hurt, if you feel uncomfortable with your arm, it could be your elbow, it could be your shoulder, it could be anything. But if you're not 100%, you won't improve. So they want him to be 100%. They want him to be good. Ivan opened many eyes. He was doing so good. He can hit the ball. He can run. Mm-hmm. He can do it all. I think the arm strength coming back, if he's hurt, it's going to be hard. And if he wants to play hurt, it's going to be double hard to come back from that. He needs to probably, the break probably help him, like heal. But I see a lot of good stuff from him. We saw a lot of good stuff from him. I probably needs to get in tune with the pitchers a little more, so the pitchers feel comfortable throwing to him whenever he catches. Things like that. But being in the minor leagues for him, is 22, I think. Mm-hmm. He's 22, and I don't think it's a bad thing. It's the same with Jordan Walker. People are freaking out because he was here. And I said, you know what? Yeah, it sucks to go back down, but in this case, they're 22. They're 22, and maybe they're 23rd, maybe they're 24. It's their year, They get better, and then their repetition. And also Ivan here, obviously with Pages doing this upright right now, it was going to be hard for him to find at bats and find catching time. So I think it's going to be good. I think he's a learner. He's a positive guy. Mm-hmm. And I think it's going to be good.
Bengie Molina played 13 years, caught 13 years in the majors. I was talking to Ali about this the other day, especially when you have a veteran staff. Manager comes out, says to you, the catcher, what's he got left? How often do you lie to the manager?
No.
Never?
No, I don't.
If the guy has nothing left, you say he's got nothing left?
You lie to your pitchers.
Yeah. Okay.
A lot. But to the manager and the coaches, there's no way you can lie. You got to go to them and say.
But that might tick off a pitcher, though, because a competitive guy thinks he's got something left. You don't worry about that?
Behind the plate. No, I don't worry because I can go out to him and say, hey, look, no. You did not have it. No, it was a 6th inning, and you're on 90-some pitches. Come on, no, you got to get out. But to the pitchers, it's funny because you have to hype them up. I had Ramon Ortiz, and he had a warm up in Yankee Stadium, and I remember that because it was so funny. And he did not have the slider. He did not have a changeup. And here we are. We're going to face Jason Giambi, Derek Jeter, all these monsters. And he had nothing. Like, I saw him in the bullpen. I was like, holy crap, how are we going to get through this? And then he comes over. He goes, man, I feel like crap. I don't have any pitches. And I said, no, man, the slider's breaking so good. The changeup is good, man. You don't see that? For real? And he's like, wait. Really? And I'm like, yeah, man, the fastball has some life in it, and it's sinking so good. Come on, man, we got this. Come on, let's go. 5 innings, 1 run. I got that guy. I was like, oh, right. That's why Sosha called me up and he goes, what the hell did you do with this guy? And I was like, no, I lie a little bit, but it worked. It worked, so it's funny, but you do that a lot.
Yeah, now looking ahead to the trade deadline for the Cardinals. Of course, pitching is one thing you would love to add in. I know a lot of it's going to be dependent on what's available to the Cardinals, but if you could, what would you think that they need to add at the trade deadline?
Wow. I really do believe a right-handed bat that can come out or play DH too. It's hard because Wilson is going to be in that spot a lot, so it's hard for the DH. But a right-handed bat, a big guy who comes in and everybody is like, afraid of that. Like the other day happens to us, like the best lefty from one of the teams came in, and it was a perfect situation for a right-handed pinch hit bat, but we couldn't do it. We don't have it. We have our lefties, and we put ourselves into that. But a right-handed bat would be great. And I'm talking about guys like Soler, kind of thing. I'm not saying him. I'm just saying kind of like him, like power, put the ball around. The burger guy in Miami would be awesome.
And from here, went to CBC.
From St. Louis, yeah. And so I think it would be a right-handed bat would help a lot, I think. Everybody's looking for a fifth starter. Palante's throwing the ball really good. If you don't want to go that route, unless it's somebody with big name fifth starter, I'll take it. But if it's just a normal guy, I would stay with Palante. I might pitch in with Levy and him and just see what happens. I think they have a good chemistry going on right now. The team, you can see it. They're enjoying the game. They're playing for each other. They're sticking in with one another, and you can see it in their face. You can see Arenado laughing.
Yeah.
Finally, enjoying the game. Goldie, having fun out there with all these kids. They have a great chemistry. I think they're really excited. I'm excited to see what they can do in the second half because they really did had a really amazing first half.
And one more thing from me. We talk about the bullpen, too, getting another arm. I'm really intrigued with Brian Fernandez. If the Cardinals put him in with a 2-1 lead in the 8th inning, I'm comfortable with that.
Oh, yeah. And you have to be because the way he's pitched. I mean, it's amazing. The bullpen is probably your MVP. On the first half. Obviously, we talk about the 39 wins with the 4 starters. But also, I really do believe the bullpen stood up a lot in this first half. I mean, the bullpen took care of everybody whenever they came in. And you cannot name just one guy. The only guy who was struggling was Gio at some point, and he seems to have found it, lately. So I don't worry about Gio. Gio has a lot of experience, and he's going to be okay. But the other guys, man, they stepped up so good, man. I mean, Helsley, the saves, I mean, a record, right? I think it's a record. And then you have from there Kittredge and Jojo Fernandez, Roycroft, who's been pitching really good. Don't forget about John King doing amazing stuff out there and helping out so much. And plus they have all the other guys that are coming. Probably O'Brien might show up soon, which is a legit reliever. I do not worry about my bullpen. I mean, getting tired and stuff, yeah, you have to worry about that stuff. But I don't worry about it. They did so good in the first half. They kept us. This is 50 wins, seriously. The bullpen, probably half of those, if not more. So I think that's our MVP.
Yeah, they deserve a lot of credit, especially Ryan Helsley, too, and he'll be the lone all-star. Of course, I think a lot of people want to know how your brother is doing, Yadier Molina. Of course, I've seen videos and pictures of where he's coaching his son's league right now, right? And so it seems like he's really enjoying that family time.
He's loving it. He's loving that part of it. Yanu it's 15. 16, and he's playing on a travel team. It's not Yadi's team. This one, it's not Yadi's team. Everybody's freaking out because they see him with a Cubs uniform.
Yeah, I saw that.
Yeah, and he told me, he goes like, bro, I didn't want to, kind of itches and stuff. But being funny, I think it's in Puerto Rico they make uniforms every year different, and I don't think Yadi's gonna make it. A uniform, Cubs uniform. I think it's not his team. He's just helping out with Janu's team. Next year, probably we'll see him with the Cardinals again. But he's doing great. He's taking care of Janu. Janu's a stud, He wants to go to the Longhorns for the university. So he's working hard. Yeah. He's a catcher. He likes to pitch, too. Has a good arm. But he's doing good. Ariana and Donnie. But Ariana is playing volleyball, and she's really talented in volleyball, so they're following them all around. So they were in Orlando for a tournament, both of them. Then they went to Atlanta for a tournament, both of them. And then Alabama for baseball. And when Ariana got back, went to a tournament in volleyball in Puerto Rico. So he's pretty busy. Remember, this is only his second year off. This is his second year. It's amazing to believe, but it is true. And he's enjoying every minute of it. I think we're going to see Yadi up here in the major leagues soon. But he understands that once you step in, there's no going back. He's gonna be here for a long, long time. So he's trying to enjoy his family for now. The time that he has off, and my mom being out there too. But he's doing great. He's doing fine.
Good. Have a great All-Star break. Thanks for stopping by.
Thank you. We need to have a campaign for Burleson. How the heck is he not an All-Star?
Yeah, he should be.
I mean, come on, man. Arizona Diamondbacks has the pick, right? Like the guy. Come on, man.
Yeah,
they hate
right.
us, though. They hate us.
Yeah. Right.
But Burley needs to be an All-Star.
Yeah.
And thank you so much for having me.
Yeah,
great to
thank
see
you for coming
Super
in.
fun. Taking
Benji.
baseball.
We have to make this a regular thing.
Yes, I'm down here 5 minutes away. So
Okay, perfect.
all you have
Yeah,
to
you're
do is
living
wake
in
me
St.
up.
Louis now.
Yeah, wake
Full
me
time.
up and I'll be here.
Okay, sounds good. Bengie Molina with us on 101 ESPN. Coming up, what's going on down at City Park? That's coming your way here on 101 ESPN. Hey, I want you to know about my friends at Chesterfield Fence and Deck. If you're in the market for a new outdoor project, you need to get in touch with Chesterfield Fence and Deck, 800-300-4054, or on the web at chesterfieldfence.com. Here's why Chesterfield Fence and Deck. Number one, they've been in business for 56 years. You don't stay in business for 56 years unless you're doing things right, and they are doing things right, whether it's a fence or a deck, sunroom, screen room, patio, pergola. They do it all and do it sensationally at Chesterfield Fence and Deck. They are A-plus rated by the Better Business Bureau, so you can count on them, and everything they do is guaranteed by 5-year labor warranties and a lot of different material warranties as well. It's a great company that does fantastic work in communicating with you as well. If you get in touch with them, 800-300-4054 or at chesterfieldfence.com, they'll come out to your house. They'll provide you a free, no-obligation project design for whatever it is that you're interested in, and then they'll do magnificent work with their own crews, their own tools, their own equipment. They really do fantastic work at Chesterfield Fence and Deck. The sign you have the very best. Bengie Molina about Ivan Herrera. Yesterday, Brandon Kiley was over at the ballpark and asked Ollie Marmol about Herrera being activated and then sent down to Memphis on Friday.
You don't have the flexibility with three catchers to, you have Herrera as a third catcher and a right-handed bat. It makes it very difficult to make any move, not playing a position. So what ends up happening is, who are you going to hit for? Against right-handed pitching, your DH is going to be Burleson. Against left-handed pitching, your DH is going to be Contreras and Pies behind the plate. So your at-bats for a young 22-year-old in Herrera is going to be coming off the bench and hitting for who? So maybe he gets 5 at-bats a week. I don't think that's the best for his development. So at that point, you're choosing for him to get at-bats and continue to work on his catching at AAA.
And the last thing he said, I think, is the most salient point. He needs to work on his catching. He needs to improve his throwing. He's starting some long toss down there, trying to improve his arm, trying to improve his pop time in the throw down to second base because he just really struggled with it. And he can advance as a hitter. He's still a relatively young player. And the fact of the matter, Brooke, is the Cardinals just have 2 better guys right now here.
They do. And I thought that it was very telling, too. You noticed that with what Bengie was talking about with Pedro Pajes, the rhythm that he has with the pitchers. It's very easy to see why him and the pitchers mesh so well together. And hearing Bengie point that out, it's very clear. Defensively, we all know. I mean, the stolen bases, I can't remember it off the top of my head currently right now. I don't know if you could pull that up, Randy.
But for you in a second.
I think that obviously that was a huge issue for Ivan Herrera. And what Bengie said about the injuries, I do wonder if that's something that has played into it. But either way, the arm strength definitely has to be better for Herrera. Now, the bat is there. What he's able to provide offensively is fantastic. But to Ollie Marmol's point, there's not room for that currently right now with what they have.
Herrera had thrown out 3 of 44 attempted base stealers, 7%. So it's got to be better than that.
100%. Yeah.
So that's something that he needs to work on. And to his credit, Herrera's offense, remember when he came up a couple of years ago and he just looked completely overwhelmed?
Yeah.
And then last year his offense was a lot better, and it's representative this year. And he had a 900 OPS last year for most of the year in the minors, 718 this year at the major league level after having a 760 OPS last year up here at the major league level. So the offense is there for a guy that can catch reasonably well. But for the guy that catches like that, he's got to have an OPS of 1.5.
To be really good. I think that what you pointed out, too, though, is that it's encouraging that it seems like he is very teachable, and if you were able to point out something that's very obvious like that he continues to progress. Especially, I mean, I remember he looked very overwhelmed when he came up the first time, and you're wondering, okay, well, what's going to happen with this guy? Is this going to be a bust? And then he continued to progress.
It's the biggest bummer about not having Yadi here. I didn't even think about it, but I think Bengie's been in uniform with the Cardinals before. I don't think it'd be a bad thing to have Bengie working with the young catchers either. He's a world championship catcher who is a really good defensive catcher. And I know he talks to the guys, but I think, being down there and like he said, spring training is key. Being able to help those guys at a real micro level, because the Cardinals don't have any other former major league catchers in their organization that are coaching for them. Why not utilize a guy that's around the ballpark every day?
Catching instructor.
Yeah.
That's something they do. They even have that at the minor league level?
No, they don't have one. They don't have anybody that travels around. Like Dave Ricketts used to travel around. That's why the Cardinals had such great catching for such a long time. Matheny did it for a while. They don't have anybody in their system that is traveling around and helping out the catchers.
Kind of like Izzy is with the pitchers. He travels around the organization.
Right, yeah. Perfect example. And they could use that from a base running perspective. Ryan Ludwig does as much as he can from an outfield perspective. But I think that they could use a few more guys that have done it before at the minor league level, and they just don't have that right now. And I think that probably hurt the development of a guy like Herrera.
From the 6-6, why didn't they know that Herrera couldn't throw out until he got up here?
It's a great question. I don't know, because we were told that was he had all the tools to be the Yadi heir. So I don't know what happened there.
No, I don't either. I was actually thinking about that this weekend, and even if that's something that he could improve upon the season. That's why I asked Bengie the question about if that's something that you can, of course you can work on it during the season, but I remember Ollie mentioning earlier that they were putting him through an arm strengthening program.
Yeah.
So,
but I
don't know how much time that takes.
Yeah, and it's more than just the arm strength. It's getting getting the release, having a better release, having a better transfer, all those little things. At 1/10 of a second, if it's 2/10 of a second, it makes a huge difference. That's Brooke. I'm Randy. Coming up next, another tough loss for St. Louis City SC Saturday night over at City Park. We'll talk about what they need to do better next time. 101 ESPN.
It's time for a DraftKings at Casino Queen Redbird report on 101 ESPN.
Brooke Grimsley here for your Redbird report. The Cardinals split the 4-game series with the Cubs this past weekend after an 8-3 loss to their NL Central rivals on Sunday. Miles Michaelis allowed a career-high 4 homers, and the Cubs added 2 more off of Andrew Kittredge. Alec Burleson hit his 17th homer for the Cardinals, tying Nolan Gorman for the team lead. The Cardinals finished the first half 5-22 run after a 15-24 start. In the Major League Baseball draft, the Cardinals using the 7th overall pick to select infielder J.J. Weatherholt, who played at West Virginia. It's the highest first-round pick by the Cardinals since they chose J.D. Drew with the 5th overall pick in 1998.
The Redbird Report is presented by DraftKings at Casino Queen. Play, stay, dine at DraftKings at Casino Queen.
Hey, it is going to be hot this week in St. Louis, and you don't want your air conditioner breaking down, not at this time of year. That's why you need to get in touch with my friends at Hoffman Brothers. Now's the time to get that tune-up, and if you just give them a call at 314-664-3011, you can also text them there, or go to hoffmanbros.com. You can set up that appointment. They'll come out. They'll take a look at your air conditioner, clean it up, make sure that the filters are good, and tell you what the lifespan of your air conditioner is. That's so important to know how long you have left with your air conditioner so that you can save up and be able to purchase a new one when you need it. Hoffman Brothers is a proud Mitsubishi Electric elite contractor, and they're going to do fantastic work not only on your air conditioner, but if you're worried about storms here in St. Louis, maybe you're prepared for unexpected power outages, but maybe not. Hoffman Brothers has the perfect solution, their reliable interlock kit. When the power goes out, you need a solution that's quick, safe, and cost-effective. An interlock kit from Hoffman Brothers lets you use your portable generator to power your entire home safely and efficiently. It's Hoffman Brothers. Learn more at hoffmanbros.com.
This is Rocky with your Sports Center update, driven by Johnny Londoff Chevrolet and Johnny Londoff Autoplex. The Cardinals go into the All-Star break with 50 wins, even though they did lose their last game of the first half, falling to the Cubs 8-3. You can catch the Home Run Derby tonight here on 101 ESPN, starting at 7 p.m. And also some Cardinals news yesterday. It was the Major League Baseball draft, and the Cardinals did get a steal as J.J. Weatherholt, who was projected to go number 1 overall by many sites, did fall all the way to them at number 7. That is your Sports Center update, driven by Johnny Londoff Chevrolet and Johnny Londoff Autoplex. See them at londoff.com. Chevy, together we drive. Oh.
Now slipping it through, Fafa Picault. Could this be the 4th Picault around Berkey? It's Fafa Picault, and that will do it. Vancouver finally putting St. Louis City to bed, and it is lights out here at City Park.
Vancouver's a team who plays a certain way, and we have to be able to at least, at a minimum, collectively come together as a group and work towards that, and that didn't happen for us.
We definitely need to have a sit down with the guys, and we need to talk about that a performance like this today is just not gonna work out, and it's just unacceptable. What we did today is unacceptable.
Yeah, I think it has to get fixed in the locker room. You could see on the pitch right now, it's a fragmented group. It's not a group that's together, and it's frustrating to me, especially, we've talked about it. It's a sellout crowd. With the performance like that is frustrating and embarrassing for the fans. So we need to do everything possible. Words are cheap right now. I think action is the most important.
St. Louis City's SC's Christopher Durkin. Before that, Edward Leuven, and you heard from John Hackworth, the interim head coach, first after a 4-1 loss to Vancouver Saturday night at City Park, in which St. Louis City only had 3 shots on goal. They had 13 shot attempts, same number of shot attempts as Vancouver. Vancouver got 9 shots on goal, and St. Louis City had 3, and you could see the frustration that the players were dealing with on the field, and hear the frustration afterwards. And it is interesting that the players are saying, hey, we have to take this inside. They already got a coach fired, and now they probably have to have a team meeting, right? And get together and figure out what the heck they need to do to be better than they have been so far. And what are they? They're 4-10-9, and they only have 1 win in their last dozen matches.
My reaction to all that sound when I saw it this past weekend was, yikes. That is not what you want to hear, especially when you say that the locker room is having issues. That's always a big telltale sign that something else needs to happen here. You already got rid of the coach, as you mentioned. Now you have Hackworth stepping in. What else can you do at this point? Also, just want to point out, watching the game on Saturday, it really felt like that. Sorry, excuse me, match, as you said correctly. Watching the match, you always do this, Randy. This past weekend, my biggest thing was, it's like they want Roman Berkey to be Superman.
I know.
He can't be that for you.
No.
You're not putting him in great situations.
No. And he makes a save, rebound, they score, and you could tell he was really frustrated, and he punted the ball beyond midfield after the goal was allowed.
Rightfully so, in my opinion.
He didn't have a chance.
Yeah.
So I get his frustration. I wonder if, and you and I both heard the same thing this weekend, that it was veteran players that got Carnell fired. I wonder if there is a segment of players that didn't want Carnell fired. This is just speculation. Or maybe they're jealous of the power that the guys who did get him fired have. I wonder if that has, the word fragmented was used. I wonder if that has caused fragmentation both on and off the pitch.
Yeah, I think my best guess right now is that leaders like Berkey and Leuven, the way they told the media was, we pretty much told the team that this is our fault and that we got a good coach fired. And I wonder if maybe that has caused just as much rifts inside the locker room as there were. Because I'm not going to say that Carnell was blameless. Obviously, there were some rifts that from his time there. But I think those rifts are separate from the ones that we're seeing now. And I think potentially what happened with the firing, and again, this is the worst 2-game stretch in City's history. They've never lost 2 games by a combined 6 goals before. They've had a couple 4 and a couple 5s, but never 6, the worst 2-game stretch in City history. So that's a variable that's going to add into it, but I definitely think that's something that there could have been something that happened between the leaders and how harsh they were on the team because of the firing, and now the fact that there is openly conversations of a fragmentation, the team's not together, their body language was terrible the entire game, all of that.
Yeah. What I'm concerned about is that you have reinforcements coming in. How does that help things? I would be so concerned about these guys coming into a fragmented locker room.
No doubt.
Locker room.
Yeah, and especially when you have an interim head coach. It seems to be like, it would seem that there's some sort of a vacuum that needs to be filled there. I remember Dan Deerdorf coming on our show one time and saying, what I want to do as an offensive lineman is, in the fourth quarter, if I want the guy across from me to go left, he goes left. If I want him to go right, he goes right. That was like the whole game on Saturday night. Whatever Vancouver wanted St. Louis City SC to do, they wound up doing. You termed it getting dog walked.
I mean, the biggest problem in that game is that I used that terminology for the Rapids game, and then nothing changed, and it happened again for the Whitecaps game. That's the biggest issue, is that having a bad game, getting beat by a team is one thing, but having almost the exact same issues happen within an 8-day span, 2 games apart, when you had a full week of training, that is a hugely alarming issue. Every single problem that they had in Colorado either got worse or was the exact same. Nothing got better. That is a red flag.
Well, and it's a problem if indeed it was the players, whether with performance or not. Once you give the players the power to fire a coach, then you've given the players the power to run the whole organization. And when you do that, you run into, that's what Craig Berube walked into, and a team that wasn't playing hard. And you need somebody that is great to bring everybody together.
And that team reacted to the veterans saying, we just got a good coach fired.
Yep, right.
The veterans had the veterans in the Blues room this year had the exact same mindset of, we all just got a good coach fired. And the reaction was, we got to play some real hockey now. Right now, based on what we've seen these last 2 games against more talented teams than that Earthquakes team, the reaction hasn't been, we need to play good soccer from that side. And that's the problem.
So what can they even do at this point? We already got a text in. Defense was pathetic, as you mentioned. Obviously, it was atrocious this past weekend. And what can they do to even fix this moving forward, to salvage the rest of the season? Obviously, I think playoffs are out of the question here, but is there anything that they could do to really salvage the season? Are you going to tell me that their playoffs
aren't
could be
completely out of the question, because I do want to say,
well, when you tell me this locker room's not together, I'm very concerned.
No, and that's fair. I'm just saying mathematically, Austin didn't win this week, so that you're still 8 games behind you're still 8 points behind a playoff spot, and so you could conceivably 2 points or 6 points behind if you win these 2 games. You're not going to win these 2 games. That was the problem. So you're getting people back healthy. Joachim Nielsen should be back healthy. You now have Edward Leuven back. João Klaus should be on his way returning, and then you get 3 new players on the 18th. As soon as the 18th happens, all 3 of your new players can play, which means you will have, I think, at least Teuchert and Jake Girdwood-Wright, because they've been training with the team now for a week or 2 weeks in Teuchert's case. They'll probably play the 20th against Kansas City coming up at the end of the week, but Hartel probably will not. But still, 2 more reinforcements, new healthy players. They haven't forgotten how to play soccer completely, and so I think there is still potentially something to salvage, but there's a lot of good young players and a lot of guys who are fighting for contracts for next year and who are on contract for the next 2 or 3 years, so there's still a lot to work for this year.
And some time. You've got on the fixtures this week, Wednesday tilt at Seattle, and then you go to Kansas City.
Yeah, it's tough.
And then it's a couple of Leagues Cup games. I wonder if maybe that's where you hire a new head coach, or at least you try to get things straightened out between Saturday's game on the 20th and their next MLS game, which is August 24th.
Yeah, you hope you can get some wins in the Leagues Cup, because then it'll give you some runway to play your 3 new additions. Maybe if there are any other additions after the window opens on July 18th, if there are other additions, it gives you more real games to actually try them. One positive is they have, I would probably say, the easiest group in the Leagues Cup. They don't have a Club America like they did last year, where it's a Mexican giant that's going to knock them around. They have a pretty weak group. In fact, Dallas who's gotten them a couple times this year because of great goaltending. Dallas, it looks like, is going to sell their goaltender. And so Dallas isn't going to have a good goalie anymore. So you're going to have a very winnable group in the League's Cup. So some runway to play new players, get new guys out there, get the young guys some more confidence with some W's. League's Cup break was a backbreaker for a City last year. It hurt them. This year, maybe it's the other way around.
And their other game that's scheduled in the League's Cup is against FC Juarez.
Match?
A match.
Yeah, and FC Juarez isn't very good relative to Liga MX.
A match against Juarez.
There you go. You fixed it. We had to make sure that's corrected. It's just anytime that I know that anything mathematically is possible, but when you hear players coming out to the media and talking about how bad the locker room is, all the red flags are waving at that moment.
No doubt about it. Coming up, Rocc and Roll here on 101 ESPN. Hey, I want you to know about my alma mater, Lindenwood University. I had a great time at Lindenwood, and it is such a magnificent campus now. If you do tours of schools, whether you're an adult and your kid is getting ready for school, or if you're a youngster and you haven't decided on your institution yet, be sure to take a tour of Lindenwood University. When you take tours of different colleges, Lindenwood will be as nice and as fun as any school you'll visit. They have a terrific Division I atmosphere now. They have over 50 different clubs that you can participate in, and they have unbelievable academics. They have over 50 great majors, including the communications major that I used. They have a great radio station. They have a great TV setup if you want to get into this business. They have great business. They have nursing now. They have pretty much everything that you could want as a major at Lindenwood University. You can set up your tour now at lindenwood.edu. It's incredibly affordable, one of the most affordable universities in the area. And nationally, it's one of the great schools that you'll come across. A lot of people in the St. Louis area are Lindenwood grads that will hire other Lindenwood grads. You can learn more by going to lindenwood.edu.
Hey everyone, it's Brooke here. Is credit card debt creating a lot of stress in your life? You should go and call my friends over at Golden Oak Lending. They can help with Smart Cash, which is low interest money. Let me tell you about a recent story that they shared with me. Amy just had her fourth child, and her husband really need to finish their basement. So they put most of it on their credit card, about $20,000, but they were still paying double-digit credit card interest. They did their best paying $900 every single month, but it was really getting overwhelming. Her dad suggested to call Golden Oak Lending to see if her home had increased in value. That way, she could use the extra equity to pay off the credit cards. Sure enough, even though they had refinanced before, their home had increased in value. Golden Oak got them their $20,000 in cash. She paid off their credit cards, and Amy is thrilled to not have that $900 a month monthly payment just hanging over their heads. Many people, just like Amy, don't realize how easy it is to use their home's equity to get Smart Cash. If you need cash, you should just go call my friends over at Golden Oak Lending. It's easy. They do all the work, and it won't cost you a penny out of pocket. Give them a call today at 314-567-GOLD-NOW to get started, or go to goldenoaklending.com and see all the reviews for yourself.
Time for rock and roll. We've got a lot of cool stuff happening here at 101 ESPN, including the Home Run Derby that is going to take place on July 27th. Fast Lane will once again square off against the Rizzuto Show from 105.7 The Point at this year's softball Home Run Derby, hosted by the O'Fallon Hoots next Saturday, July 27th at CarShield Field in O'Fallon, Mo. Fast pitch Home Run Derby that night as well, featuring Rick Ankiel, Brian Jordan, and more MLB alumni. Tickets are on sale now for just $15, and it's brought to you by Swiss Air Heating and Cooling, Faster House, and Zwickle Light. Get all the details on this year's O'Fallon Hoots Home Run Derby now at 101ESPN.com. And Jamie Rivers is going to be out and about. He's going to be, along with 101 ESPN and Stella Artois, out Thursday from 6 to 8 at Helen Fitzgerald's. Stella Artois partnering with Hot Ones to bring hot wings and hot trivia questions to St. Louis. Want to sign up to play in the trivia? Yes, I do. Visit Helen's to find out how to register to participate and compete in the competition, or just come hang out and watch the festivities Thursday and enjoy some free Stella sampling and your chance at attendance prizes. That's this Thursday from 6 to 8 p.m. with Jamie Rivers at Helen Fitzgerald's. Get more info at 101ESPN.com. All right, Rock, what do you got for us on Rock and Roll?
We got to go.
Oh, we got. We sure do.
Oh my gosh!
Holy
You're
cow.
right. It is 10 o'clock. I didn't even
Time
realize
flies
that.
when you're having fun. Holy cow! No rock and roll.
We've got
a balloon party with T-Mac and Ajax coming up, and then BK Ferrario followed by the Fast Lane. Great job today by our producer, audio, video engineer, the one, the only Matthew Rocchio. Thank you. Brooke, did you have fun today?
Yes.
Good. Quick.
That was quick. Oh, yeah, the quickest
we
rock
thank
and
you
roll
for tuning in, texting in, and being a part of the show for all of us until tomorrow morning at 7 a.m. Have a magnificent Monday, St. Louis.